Whis returned to the Destroyer God realm. This time, he was almost certain to succeed, but he did not expect to be obstructed by two scions in the true God realm. Not only did he suffer serious injuries, but he also alerted the enemy. The god of destruction Beerus is still sleeping, and judging from his aura, he seems to be getting stronger. I don't know if he can be promoted to a true god after waking up again, but it seems that it won't be so soon. After Weiss recovered from the injuries he suffered in the battle, he prepared to leave the 7th universe and head to the true god realm to report the affairs of the 7th universe to the high priest, who was also his father. Although the king of the angels now has absolute authority, because he destroyed the 13 to 18 universes in ancient times, especially broke up the samsara world, he was backlashed by the rules of heaven and earth. Although he now has powerful strength, his intelligence is like that of a child. Therefore, basically all matters big and small in the angel clan are handled by the high priest. The true god realm, like the true demon realm, is one of the highest level dimensional universes in the entire Dragon Ball world. The true god realm is inhabited by the gods and their subordinate races. The gods are the angels and the world cores, and they have a very high status in the true god realm. Moreover, the gods are powerful. Even the weakest world core has the strength of an emperor, and the angels have the strength of an emperor from birth. The full palace is not located in the true god realm, but an independent space opened up by the king of angels after he broke through to the true god level. Even the angels of the true god realm and the core clan are not allowed to enter without permission. Only angels who have reached the true god level can come to the full palace at any time, but they also need to apply in advance to be admitted by the high priest. However, apart from these, the angels in charge of guarding the 12 universes and the king of kings are exceptions. If there is any important matter, they can go directly to the palace of the king of all. In the palace of the Omni King was playing alone accompanied by two guards, while the high priest was standing by respectfully, but no one knew what he was thinking in his heart. In front of the Omni King, a series of star maps appeared. If someone saw them, they would be shocked. Isn't this the distribution of the 12 universes in the lower world? The Omni King stretched out his hand, and a nebula continued to expand. Stars appeared in it, and then with a light flick, the trajectory of a planet changed and it crashed into another planet. Then the two planets turned into nothingness. At the same time, a strange scene occurred in the 9th universe in the lower world. Two planets that were originally impossible to intersect collided with each other under the guidance of an unknown force, and the life on the planets became dust in the universe in an instant. This is the power above that of a true god. In a single thought, the stars move and the universe changes. If Sun Tian were here, he would find it strikingly similar to how the dragon transformed the solar galaxy. It's so boring. The planet-destroying game is not fun. It seemed that he had no idea that just in the moment, countless lives in the lower universe had completely disappeared in the long river of history because of his boredom. The Omni King's childlike voice sounded, and the high priest was startled. If the Omni King went outside, I'm afraid something unpredictable would happen again. Remember the last time the Omni King went to the lower universe, a strong man from a star field somehow provoked the Omni King, and as a result, that star field was directly cleared out of the Omni King's universe. At this moment, the high priest suddenly looked outside the king's palace, and the next moment he disappeared from the king's sight. You two, what is the high priest doing? The two guards of the Omni King immediately half knelt. Lord Omni King, it seems that Whis from Universe 7 is here. Outside the Omni King's palace, the figure of the high priest suddenly appeared. Weiss, what happened? Are you hurt? Although Whis looked fine at the moment and his external injuries had long since recovered, the high priest had a keen eye. He was a super powerful being at the level of a true god, and even in the entire Dragon Ball world, he was ranked in the top 20. Naturally, he saw Whis' condition at a glance. Master High Priest, as you can see. The High Priest's face straightened. Tell me, are you going to the battlefield of gods and demons again? The battlefield of gods and demons is located in the center of the two universes of the true god realm and the true demon realm. Since the ancient war, when the ancient angel king attacked the incarnation of the ancient demon god after breaking through the true god, the relationship between the two realms was destined. The battlefield of gods and demons emerged at that time. Any demon or god who reached the level of destruction could go to the battlefield of gods and demons to fight. Both worlds are afraid that the other side will invade their own world, so they have been stationing troops there. Over time, the battlefield of gods and demons has become a battleground for the two worlds. There is no shortage of true god-level strongmen in the battlefield of gods and demons, and it is said that both sides even have strong men at the level of true god stationed there. This is one of the reasons why angels and core gods do not appear often in the 12 universes. Compared with the comfortable environment of the 12 universes, the battlefield of gods and demons can make them stronger. Generally, demons or gods who have reached the destruction level will generally choose to go to the battlefield of gods and demons for magic training. Whis is a powerful man who is the descendant of the true gods. He was arranged by the High Priest to guard the 7th universe. In his opinion, there should be no enemies in the lower universe that can threaten him. Even the so-called God of Destruction only mastered a trace of the law of destruction bestowed by the King of All, and could not pose a threat to their true gods. Whis knew that although the High Priest was his father, he would never say anything special about him because he was his son, so he hurriedly said, "High Priest, this time we are not going to the battlefield of gods and demons," but 2 true god-level scions appeared in the 7th universe. Whis then slowly explained the whole story. Although each of them has only just entered the early stage of true god, the power they exerted is such that even a mid-stage true god may not be their match. The High Priest fell into deep thought. "You mean that the first person broke through under your oppression, but was able to perform a technique that suppressed your combat power?" "Yes, and in that kind of battle he was able to ignore the chaotic space and perform teleportation." The High Priest knew that although Whis was a bit unreliable in his daily life, he would never make up such a thing to deceive him. Could it be that the scions were about to revive? Among the 12 universes in the lower world, the 6th and 7th universes are the most special. The scions, Namex, and frozen demons of the 7 ancient tribes are all distributed here. Only these 2 universes hide big secrets that even the High Priest cannot see through. Although these 3 tribes are no longer as powerful as they were in ancient times, 1 or 2 powerful people from the 3 tribes will appear every once in a while. In the past, the strongest ones were those who could destroy the limit, but now there are 2 true god-level scions, and there are also many scions and Namekians who are at the destruction level. Whis, please go back to Universe 7 first. I will report to the Omni King and then I will come find you. In the palace of the Omni King, 2 guards were guarding the Omni King diligently, and the High Priest who had just disappeared had returned. However, the High Priest could not tell the King of all Kings about what happened in the lower world. With the King of all Kings' current demeanor, he would not take it seriously even if he knew. The High Priest only instructed 2 guards to take good care of the King of all Kings, saying that he had important matters to attend to in the lower world, and then left the King of all Kings' palace. The High Priest is gone. Yes, Lord Omni King, I heard that a powerful character appeared in the lower world, and the High Priest went down to deal with it. The lower world. Powerful characters. It must be fun. I've decided. I want to go to the lower world to play too. Ah, no, Lord Omni King. Shut up. Do you want to disappear? The 2 guards were shocked but they dared not resist anymore. Although the King of all was as wise as a child, if you really treated him as a child, you would die without knowing how. This was a time bomb and usually only the High Priest would restrain him a little. In the Milky Way star region, the High Priest brought Whis directly to the former demonic and military galaxy, but found that drastic changes were taking place here. The so-called true god-level scions and the Namekians have long disappeared, and even the super-large planet demon warrior star that was mentioned has disappeared. Whis, what's going on? Whis was also shocked. Although he could move planets, he had no way to move a planet as big as the Magic Saint star. Maybe the High Priest had this ability, but in fact, the planet had indeed disappeared. Not only that, the 81 satellites of the demonic Martial Saint star also had no signs of life, and it was obvious that they had been moved in advance. Without the magic Martial Saint star, the celestial bodies in the magic Martial galaxy are out of balance and are undergoing drastic changes. Without the traction of the magic Martial Saint star, most of the 81 satellites are gradually flying towards the star, and only a few 7 or 8 satellites have reformed their own orbits and are orbiting the star again. Whis didn't know either, but he was very sure. High Priest, I believe that everything you said before is true. He would not dare to deceive the High Priest even if he was the High Priest's son. The High Priest glanced at Whis and knew that he could not possibly deceive him. Moreover, judging from the condition of the galaxy, it was obvious that a very large main star had been moved away, causing this problem. Suddenly, the High Priest stopped in the void of the universe, exuding a powerful aura, and his hands kept carving something. Time goes back. Whis was shocked. Was this the scene of forcibly rewinding to the past? Although Whis often used the scepter in his hand to rewind, there was a breath of the true god in this space, and his ability was simply unable to detect it. Scenes kept reappearing. Babidi Kola and others were pulled out of the subspace by Chi Tian, Majin Bu was released, Whis appeared, Chi Tian fought against Whis, Bardock stepped out of the black hole of time and space, Whis was defeated. However, later on, they were blocked by an invisible force. Well, who is it? The high priest shouted loudly, but the scene could never be reversed after Whis was defeated. "Father, what's going on?" The high priest glanced at Weiss and said, "There is interference from a true god who is extremely powerful." "True god limit?" Whis was shocked. "Behind these Scions and Namekians, there are true god limit strongmen. The little underworld, no, it should not be called that now, it should be called the little Samsara realm. Since communicating with Sun Tian more than a year ago, King Yama began to awaken the clones of the little underworld in various star fields in the 7th universe. Now, the little underworld of the entire 7th universe has been completely integrated, and King Yama has also integrated the other clones of the entire 7th universe. Although King Yama has not yet recovered to his heyday, he has also restored his realm to the true god limit. Although his combat power is only at the early stage of the true god, he is the master of a world after all. It is not a problem to simply interfere with the time reversal of the high priest. God clan, don't even think about finding out where they went this time. The matter of the 7th universe is over, and I should also set off to other universes to retrieve other fragments of the Samsara world. The small Samsara realm has now completely separated from the 7th universe. Even the high priest cannot find it. In ancient times, the Samsara realm was independent of the 18th universe and the realm of true gods and true demons. If the Angel King had not broken through to become a true god, it would have been impossible to find it. Although the High Priest is also a true god of the highest rank, he is still far behind the 7 ancient powers. With King Yama's current limit of true god realm and his combat power at the early stage of true god, it is only a matter of time before he wants to recover the fragments of the Samsara world in the other 11 universes. In the original Demon Martial Star system, the High Priest was confused. Logically, he knew all the true God realm masters from both the true demon realm and the true god realm, and the power that just disturbed him definitely did not come from these two realms. Could it be that there were still ancient Scions who were true god realm alive in the world? An ancient name emerged in the high priest's mind, Yamoshi, the son of the ancient golden giant ape and an ancient human. He was also the first true Scion in the ancient times. It took him less than 10,000 years to reach a height that others would find difficult to reach in their lifetime, the limit of a true god. Moreover, his self-created ultra instinct is still circulating among the angels. But that shouldn't be the case. Ever since the ancient golden giant ape and the ancient Namekians were defeated and killed, they should have disappeared in ancient times with the destruction of the 12 to 18 universes. The high priest couldn't figure it out, but if it was really Yamoshi, even he had to be careful. In ancient times, the two had fought against each other before. With Yamoshi's amazing fighting talent, the high priest was suppressed in almost every battle. No, it couldn't be Yamoshi. With Yamoshi's personality, if he knew the current situation of the Scions, he would have gone to the realm of true gods long ago. How could he still stay in the lower realm, and how could he let Whis escape? But since it wasn't Yamoshi, could it be someone from the real demon world? It was not impossible. After all, there were obviously people from the demon clan in the flashback scene. Oh, and there was also the unsealed demon clan. Weiss didn't recognize him, but his high priest did. The life-destroying demon god from the ancient times was a difficult character in the true demon realm even in ancient times. It can be said that few people could match his understanding of the law of life. Coupled with the extremely aggressive law of destruction, although he was only at the peak of the true god, he could still fight even against the strongest person at the limit of the true god. If you were to ask where this group of people would go if they disappeared, there is no doubt that they would go to the true demon realm, because only the true demon realm is the place that their god clan cannot touch. Moreover, if the god clan wants to go to the true demon realm, they can only do so by crossing the god and demon battlefield. However, the god and demon battlefield is so terrifying that even a true god like him would not dare to say that he could definitely get through it. You know, in the battlefield between gods and demons, once a strong man with the limit of true gods appears, he will definitely attract the attention of the other side. From ancient times to the present, there have been many strong men with the limit of true gods who died in it, and there were more than one. Seeing that there was no clue here, the high priest ordered Whis to return to the realm of destruction as soon as possible and then return to the Omni King's palace. After all, compared to the things happening here, he was more worried about the Omni King whose mind was like that of a child. In the palace of the Omni King, not long after the high priest left, the Omni King threatened the two guards not to follow him, and then he went down to the mortal world alone, leaving the two guards of the Omni King at a loss in the palace of the Omni King. In the entire palace, except for the high priest, no one will give face to anyone, and his naive character makes other people feel scared. Just when the two guards didn't know what to do, the high priest suddenly appeared in the palace of the Omni King. What's wrong with you two? Where is the Omni King? The two guards told the Omni King about his previous actions, but there was nothing they could do as the Omni King's will was not something they could resist. Even among the angels, there were a limited number of true gods who could stop the Omni King. With their cultivation at the peak of true god level, the Omni King could make them disappear permanently with just a few words. Nonsense, you know what the Omni King is like now. In ancient times, it was because of the Omni King that he destroyed the 12th to 18th universes. He was then attacked by the laws of heaven and earth, which led to his mental impairment now. If the Omni King is unhappy when he comes to the world this time and destroys a few more universes, it may even affect the sleeping king. The two guards also realized the seriousness of the matter. Master High Priest, what should we do now? With the power of the Omni King, if he doesn't want us to find it, there is no way we can find it. Indeed, although the Omni King seems to be mentally retarded, he is also smart. If he really doesn't want others to know where he is, even the High Priest can do nothing about it. Hey, how come all these bad things are piled up together? The High Priest suddenly felt a little tired. Unfortunately, they had not discovered that Bardas had disappeared in the 6th universe. Without Bardas's restraint, Xiangpa was a little nervous at the beginning, but now he has completely let himself go. In the 6th universe, ever since Bardas was captured by Sun Tian, Xiangpa had been in fear at first, but after more than 10 days and without seeing Sun Tian leave the universe again, Xiangpa tried to secretly leave the world of the gods of destruction. You know, although Xiangpa is the god of destruction, he is generally not allowed to leave the realm of destruction without the permission of Bardas. Now that he is free from the restraint of Bardas, Xiangpa has begun to become arrogant. In the lower realm of the 6th universe, on a huge planet, Xiangpa looked so weird in the costume of the god of destruction. For Xiangpa, the most important thing in life was eating. Without the restraint of Bardas, Xiangpa no longer had to lose weight. Whenever he arrived at a planet, he would threaten the ruler of the planet and prepare the best food for him. After tasting the delicious food of the world again, Xiangpa felt that the disappearance of Bardas was a good thing. Originally, Xiangpa wanted to find King Kai and ask him to inform the High Priest of Bardas' disappearance, but now... Who is Bardas? In order to prevent any accidents, Xiangpa even went to the Kaioshin realm and sealed the current Kaioshin directly to prevent them from assigning an angel to come down and control his food. Therefore, the capture of the guardian angel of Universe 6 has not yet been discovered by the High Priest. Xiangpa, who possesses the ultimate power of destruction, is almost like a crab in the 6th universe. He walks sideways. Whenever he arrives at a planet, as long as the food provided is not to his taste, he will kill the planet's manager at best, or directly destroy the planet at worst. In just over 10 days, no less than 100 planets were destroyed by Xiangpa. Xiangpa, who had been oppressed by Bados for a long time, had become completely arrogant. In addition, his original character was overbearing, unreasonable, perverse, tyrannical, arrogant and willful. Gradually, Xiangpa's behavior was put on the blacklist of the Killer God Organization of the 6th universe. Since Sun Tian captured Bardas, he did not leave the 6th universe, but started traveling again with Chi-Chi. He had no idea that the magic and martial empire had disappeared. The universe is so vast that Xiangpa and Sun Tian have never met in the universe. If Xiangpa knew that Sun Tian was still in this universe, he probably wouldn't be as arrogant as he is now. As for Bardas, Sun Tian imprisoned him and threw him into the inner world. In Sun Tian's inner world, even if Bardas reached the peak of true god, he might not be able to escape, not to mention that his cultivation was sealed now. Planet Shadala is the home planet of the Science of Universe 6. Sun Tian didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional, but he ended up on this planet without realizing it. Is this the ancestral planet of the Science in Universe 6? On a food street on the planet Sadera, Chi-Chi looked at the Science on the street curiously, holding Sun Tian's hand, with a happy look on her face. Yes, this is the Scion ancestral planet of the 6th universe. Sun Tian didn't expect that he came to the star field where the Scion's ancestral planet was located when he was just accompanying his wife on a trip. Since he had encountered them, Sun Tian naturally wanted to see the situation of the Scions in this universe. I feel that the auras they exude are very peaceful, unlike you who exude an extremely evil aura. Chi-Chi is also a super master with a combat power of nearly 400 million. Even on the planet Shadala where there are so many masters, few people dare to say that they are her opponents. Unlike Sun Tian, Vegeta and others, the Scions of this planet, although wearing the combat uniforms that Raditz wore when he first came to Earth, have a very peaceful aura. Of course, there are some Scions with violent auras, but generally speaking, they are not like the Scions in the 7th universe, whose auras are full of violence. And unlike Sun Tian and the others, the Scions here do not have tails, but the average combat power is basically over 100,000, except for children, which can be said to be quite powerful. How can it be evil? The aura on my body can change according to my will. Sun Tian flicked Chi-Chi's head and said in a pretended angry tone. In fact, the scions of the 7th universe are still violent since they were integrated into the demonic empire, but they are definitely not evil. However, compared with the scions on the planet Shadara, they give people a much more evil feeling. The two men and the beast strolled in the city, and soon they found a restaurant, ready to taste the delicacies of this planet. Although with their current level of cultivation, eating or not is no longer important, Sun Tian and his companions still maintained the habit of eating. The two men and one beast found a seat by the window. Soon, a female scion with a combat power of 200,000 came forward and asked, "What would you like to eat?" 200,000 yuan, and he actually worked as a waiter in a restaurant. Sun Tian felt a little unbelievable. What are the special features? Tell us. The female scion was startled and looked at Sun Tian and Chi-Chi curiously. Chi-Chi was okay, she was dressed in ancient style and looked weak, somewhat similar to the scions. Sun Tian was dressed in casual clothes, the most important thing was that he had a tail tied around his waist. Looking at the Tianshu beast next to him, the combination of two people and one beast was quite strange. Okay, wait a moment. After a while, one delicious dish after another was served, and the two men and one beast began to taste them slowly. Chi-Chi, this dish is good, come and try it. Sun Tian picked up some food for Chi-Chi from time to time, and soon, the whole table of food was finished by the two people and the beast. But it did not surprise others. On the planet Sadera, although the scions have different personalities from the scions of the 7th universe, they are the same when it comes to eating and are all foodies. Next door, it seemed that a team of scions had just returned from a mission and were chatting about something. Although their voices were not loud, Sun Tian and the others could naturally hear them clearly. Sylvia, have you heard that a super powerful person suddenly appeared in the universe recently? He loves food, but he is extremely evil. If something goes wrong, he will destroy other people's planets. I've heard that recently, be careful when you go out on missions. This strong man is quite powerful. I'm afraid that the elite members of the Lay's defense team are no match for him. Yes, I heard that there was a ruler of a planet with a combat power of nearly 10 million. He wanted to resist, but was killed by that person in one move, and then the entire planet was destroyed. Humph, this guy is dead. I heard that the God of Death organization has already put him on the death list. Really? Then this fat cat is really unlucky. I don't know where this expert came from. It looks like his combat power has reached at least hundreds of millions. Although this combat power is strong, it doesn't dare to come to our Shadala planet to act recklessly. Just be careful when you go out. Sun Tian was surprised to hear this. Fat cat? Who could it be? As far as he could remember, there seemed to be no such person in the 6th universe. The combat power of those scions was pretty good, with the lowest combat power of nearly 800,000, and the scion named Sylvia actually had a combat power of nearly 5 million. Sun Tian did not connect this person with Xiangpa. After all, in his opinion, Xiangpa was either trying to contact other angels or had already found a place to hide. A powerful man with a combat power of hundreds of millions did not attract Sun Tian's attention. He and Chi-Chi took a short rest, then paid the bill and left. Xiangpa has been very happy recently. He is so happy living without anyone to control him. He can eat whatever he wants every day. When he is in a bad mood, he just sets off fireworks with planets. This is the life of a destroyer god. Humming a little tune, Xiangpa was flying freely in the middle of the universe. As a strong man with the limit of destruction and a super strong man who had mastered a trace of the law of destruction, Xiangpa did not think that there was anyone in the 6th universe who could threaten his life. As long as he did not meet Sun Tian and the angel, there was nothing to be afraid of. Suddenly, Xiangpa felt a powerful force appearing on a life planet not far away. Even if this energy was not worth mentioning compared to his, it was still quite powerful. As a god, and the top god of destruction in the universe, how could he not have one or two capable subordinates? Xiangpa followed the energy reaction, escaped into the subspace and rushed over. On a desolate planet, Hit, as the top killer of the God of Death organization, has been locked on to Xiangpa since he arrived more than 20 days ago. However, when many masters were sent to fight Xiangpa before, he left early. After that, Xiangpa continued to cause destruction, and they could see how powerful the opponent was from the traces of destruction. As the top killer in the God of Death organization, Hit naturally knows that there are gods of destruction and king god in the universe. However, this does not mean that Hit will be afraid. You must know that Hit's teacher, the real leader of the God of Death organization, once killed a true god. Although Hit only has the ability to enter the limit of destruction, he is not very afraid of pseudo-true gods like the God of Destruction. Hit has purple skin and wears a long coat. He has restrained his aura to the late stage of destruction and silently waits for Xianpa's arrival. Yes, here it comes. After a while, the fat figure of Elephant Panna appeared in front of Hit, with purple skin, a broken tail gently swaying, and a dark red God of Destruction costume. Although he did not exude a strong aura, he gave people a kind of mental pressure. Xianpa descended to the ground and looked at Hit curiously. Although Hit had retracted his breath and sword, Xianpa was still the God of Destruction, an existence with the limit of destruction. Naturally, he could feel the hidden power in Hit's body. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that there would be such a powerful being like you in the universe I govern. Boy, what's your name? Xianpa asked curiously. You know, in the past 20 days, he has traveled to many star fields and met many strong people, but the strongest one is only at the peak of the star field. For such a weak person, Xianpa would not even look at him. Hit, are you the super strong man who has been destroying planets everywhere recently? Although Hit knew that Xianpa was the God of Destroyer, he did not point it out. Hit, very good. If I'm not mistaken, you have at least the power of the peak of destruction. How about following me? I am the most powerful god in the universe. Xianpa believed that given his status, Hit would definitely make the right choice. The God of Destruction, Xianpa. Hit called out Xianpa's name directly, which surprised Xianpa. Oh, I didn't expect that there are people in the underworld who know my name. Boy, have you thought about it? Since Xianpa was chosen as the God of Destruction, he has rarely appeared in the underworld. Unexpectedly, today he would randomly encounter a strong man from the underworld who actually knew of his existence. I know. Kill you. Mission. Hit didn't want to talk much with Xianpa. Hit didn't like a destroyer like Xianpa who was cruel, tyrannical, arrogant and willful. What did you say, boy, do you want to die? Xianpa was furious. The other party actually made it his mission to hunt him down. Did he really think that everyone could be as strong as that man and could scare him? Are you ready? Although Hit is a killer, he always chooses to face the enemy head-on in every mission and never assassinates others from behind. Of course, he will not have this opportunity when facing the God of Destruction. You bastard, I wanted you to be my servant, but you didn't know how to catch me. So you better disappear now. Seeing the other party's attitude, Xianpa knew that he could not use his power, and he exuded a terrifying and violent aura. Even without destroying energy, Xianpa is also a super master of the limit of destruction. With a wave of his hand, a beam of energy bomb hits Hit. Although Hit was proud, he had been on guard against the God of Destruction since they met. He dodged the energy bomb with a flash of his body. At the same time, Hit activated his own supernatural power and time jumped. Boom! Xianpa didn't know that Hit actually dared to fight back, and was hit directly by Hit's knife. A huge force penetrated into Xianpa's body along Hit's hand knife, but was immediately absorbed by the destructive energy in Xianpa's body. Yes, just now it was so fast that I couldn't even see your movements clearly. Kampa is not stupid. Although he is arrogant and willful, he is able to become an existence with the limit of destruction and be appointed as the God of Destruction of the sixth universe. How could he really be like his body? He is just usually controlled by Bardos, and there is nothing he can do about it. When Hit missed his attack, he immediately retreated dozens of meters, maintaining a distance that allowed him to attack or defend. You're very strong. Looks like I have to show my real skills too. Roar! Hit shouted loudly, and a purple aura emerged from his body, making him look very noble. At the same time, his energy instantly broke through the limit of destruction. Interesting, he actually has the power to enter the limit of destruction, but it's not enough. But now Hit also made Xianpa serious, and a power stronger than Hit emanated from Xianpa's body. Are you ready, boy? Hit remained calm and did not show any fear due to the aura released by Xianpa. Kampa hasn't been this excited for a long time. At their level, it is difficult to find a suitable opponent. He used to fight against Beerus, but after they became the God of Destruction of the 6th and 7th universes respectively, they never fought properly again. Although Hit's strength had just reached the limit of destruction, it had aroused some of his interest. Xianpa suddenly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was only half a meter away from Hit, and at the same time he punched him hard. However, the next moment, the expected scene of Hit being knocked away did not occur, but he was struck back by Hit. Boom! Xianpa was hit in the face by a punch and flew backwards, and a hill not far away collapsed with a loud bang. Asshole. Xianpa simply overturned the rocks on the ground and rushed out roaring. What happened? Although Xianpa was not hurt, as the top god of destruction in the 6th universe, he was hit twice in a row by a person from the lower world. Does he still have face? What happened just now? I was the first to attack, but how come he counterattacked me in that instant? Suddenly, Xianpa thought of Bardas's ability. He remembered that when he first became the god of destruction, Xianpa was not really afraid. But one time, Xianpa got angry and blew up many planets in the god of destruction's world, which made Bardas very angry. Then Xianpa discovered the horror of Bardas. With one move, the starry sky of the entire destroyer god realm, the originally destroyed planets actually retreated rapidly, and soon returned to their original state. After that, Xianpa also suffered the first beating after becoming the destroyer god. It took him nearly 1,000 years to recover in the destroyer god realm. It was after that incident that Xianpa had a deep fear of Bardas. Xianpa asked, "Manipulate time, boy, did you just manipulate time?" After 2 consecutive heavy blows, he was still alive and kicking. Is this the god of destruction? At this moment, Hit also realized how powerful Xianpa was. But the more this happened, the more interested Hit became. God. Even though I'm known as the god of killing, I've never killed a god. Hit had never felt this way before, and his condition was better than ever. Injured compared to Hit, Xianpa is different. You said that he was abused by Bardas and another unknown true god a few dozen days ago, but that was fine. Who made them true gods? Now, a little guy who just entered the limit of destruction actually hit him twice in a row. Although he was not injured, it also made him, the god of destruction, lose face, right? Killing God. Huh, it seems you lack respect for God. Just now, Xianpa only used about 50% of his strength, and both his speed and attack were just normal. But now, knowing that Hit has the ability to manipulate time, he naturally will not block it easily. When it comes to manipulating time, Hit is far inferior to Bardas. Xianpa has been trained by Bardas for millions of years. Although he is not familiar with other things, he has a good way to deal with the power of time. You've offended the god of destruction, kid. I admit that you have some skills, but they are still not good enough in front of me. Xianpa suddenly disappeared from the spot. Even with Hit's ability, he was unable to detect Xianpa's existence. Boom! Before Hit could even activate his ability, he was knocked out by a punch. How is this possible? I can't even see his movements. This force and speed are at least twice as fast as before. Hit was hit by Xianpa's punch, and his whole body seemed to be falling apart. It took a long time for the flow of air in his body to ease. Ha ha ha. Boy, what do you think? That was only 60% of my strength. You can use your superpowers to break it when the time comes. Hit's expression became serious. At the same time, layers of invisible space fluctuations spread around his body. One of Hit's abilities, Flash Space, stored time and used the stored time to create space. Although Hit now seemed to be in reality, his real body had actually been separated from reality. He could use time and space to attack or defend, but even so, Hit was not sure he could defeat Xianpa. Seeing that Hit did not attack, Xianpa took the initiative to attack. In a moment, Xianpa was in front of Hit and punched him again, directly penetrating Hit's body. Well, no, it's not a physical entity. The force of his fist erupted, and a mountain of strange rocks nearly 10,000 meters high not far away collapsed with a loud bang. Immediately, Xianpa was knocked away by one blow. An attack across time. Interesting. Hide yourself in another dimension of time and space, and only reveal your real body at the moment of attack. Although Xianpa was knocked away, he did not suffer any substantial damage. However, Xianpa saw through Hit's attack method in an instant. But even so, Xianpa felt that he was provoked. "And, you provoke me again and again." Hit was not moved by Xianpa's words, and concentrated on executing his task. This time Hit was not prepared to passively defend. Using his own abilities, Hit's figure kept jumping, and the whole person kept flashing in the air like an unconnected picture. Xianpa smiled softly. Jumping through time. Do you really think that I have been the god of destruction for nothing? Boom! Hit quickly approached Xianpa, returned to reality from the flash time and space, and used his special skills in an instant. Time prison. Xianpa suddenly felt as if he was separated from reality. Although he could see things in the outside world, he was not in the same dimension at all, and moving became very difficult. The time prison is the same as the flash time dimension, but the difference is that in the flash time dimension one can hide in it and launch attacks at any time, while the time prison isolates the enemy from reality and banishes them to different time dimensions. Hit is doing his best to maintain the time prison, while also preparing his own trump card. Xiangpa kept using his energy to try to break through Hit's time prison. The time prison kept shaking, as if it would break at any time. While Hit continuously input the power of time accumulated from the past into it with one hand, he was condensing a terrifyingly strong aura with the other hand. Although Xiangpa was in a different dimension and time and space, he could still feel a force that threatened his own safety gathering in reality. Destructive energy. As a last resort, Xiangpa finally used the energy of the exclusive law of the god of destruction. A black energy slowly emerged from Xiangpa's hand, and after this energy appeared, cracks gradually appeared in Hit's time prison. Crack. 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 Hit tried desperately to maintain it, beads of sweat continued to appear on his head, and the energy gathered in his other hand became stronger and stronger. No, the energy is not enough to kill the god of destruction in the late stage of destruction limit. At this moment, the time prison could no longer stop Xiangpa's destructive energy, and it shattered like glass. Let's fight. Time and space crushing fist. Xiangpa, who had just escaped from the time prison, quickly laid a defense barrier composed of pure destructive energy around his body. At the same time, a stronger destructive energy ball blasted towards Hit's time and space crushing fist. Bang! With a loud bang, the two energies collided in the air and continued to merge, surrounded by black and purple lightning. In a short period of time, the two were evenly matched. So strong, this energy is almost the same as my destructive energy. When did such a strong person appear in the lower world? Xiangpa was shocked, but fortunately he had sensed something was wrong and made a quick decision to use destructive energy to smash the time prison. Otherwise, this energy combined with the time prison might really cause him to be seriously injured. Ha 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 ha. You don't stand a chance. Even though you're good, you better disappear. Destroy. Xiangpa suddenly increased his strength from 60% to 80%, and an overwhelming force pushed the energy ball towards Hit. Still not working. It seems that I am still far from the path of killing gods. I really don't know how powerful it was for the teacher to kill the true gods back then. Faced with this backflowing energy, Hit was not sad, but just thought that his mission seemed to have failed. Hit was hit by this energy, and the potential in his body quickly erupted, but it only saved his life temporarily. The powerful energy carried Hit, cut through the void of the universe, and gradually disappeared into the sky. Xiangpa finally recovered his breath. Just now in the time prison, Xiangpa was really scared. Fortunately, Xiangpa acted decisively. Looking at Hit, who was hit by energy and taken into the void of the universe, Xiangpa had to admit that if he was given another few thousand years, he might not be his opponent. Sun Tian wandered around the planet Shadara for a while and found that although the scions of the planet Shadara were much stronger than those of the seventh universe, Vegeta, they lived a completely different life. Sun Tian had heard Vegeta say before that in the past, planet Vegeta basically lived a life of constantly plundering and robbing planets. On the one hand, it was for the enjoyment of fighting, and on the other hand, it was because he was forced by Frisia at that time. The scions on the planet Sadera actually have their own industries. Some scions with a combat power of millions actually make a living by farming crops, which Sun Tian finds very interesting. Moreover, the scions here will not plunder other people's planets. Instead, they become righteous people who maintain peace in the universe. Although they are still belligerent, they have their own way of fighting. The battles between scions are more of a healthy competition, and on the planet Shadara there is actually a scion school that specializes in training the younger generation. This lifestyle cannot be said to be good, but it cannot be said to be bad either. At least overall, the scions of planet Shadara are far more powerful than those of Universe 7, and are also more united. Sun Tian took Chi-Chi and the Tianshu beast behind him and strolled in the Royal Noble School in the capital of the planet Shadala. This planet does not exclude aliens. Instead, aliens come to study from time to time. Sun Tian and Chi-Chi look similar to scions, so no one said anything. Suddenly, a somewhat frivolous female voice called Sun Tian and the others from behind, "Hey, this pet of yours, I've taken a fancy to it. If you know what's good for you, hand it over obediently, otherwise." Sun Tian and Chi-Chi looked back and saw a female scion with black hair and a hedgehog-like hairstyle. She was wearing bell-bottom pants on the lower body and a tube top on the upper body. She was about 15 or 16 years old and looked like a bad girl. She was staring at the Tianshu beast with glowing eyes. Seeing Sun Tian and Chi-Chi turned around, the bad girl said carelessly, "I am very strong. Give this pet to me. I will protect you on Shadala Star from now on. But I was thinking in my heart, I have never seen these two people, but the girl is so beautiful and the boy is also very handsome, but it's a pity that he has a tail. Tail. The girl seemed to remember something. She remembered that her teacher at school seemed to have said that scions also had tails a long time ago, but they gradually degenerated. Sun Tian glanced at Chi-Chi and thought it was really interesting. Little girl, you said you were protecting us. And you still want Tianshu? Tianshu is it? Sun Tian pointed at the Tianshu beast and said to the bad girl in front of him, he just sensed it and it was incredible. This little girl actually had a combat power of more than 50 million. And the shy girl behind her was not bad either, with a combat power of 30 million. Moreover, Sun Tian felt a very violent energy from her body. If it broke out, I am afraid that no one in the entire Shadala star would be her opponent. The strongest person on the planet Shadala is naturally King Shadala. Sun Tian felt it when he came to this planet. He has a combat power of nearly 1 billion. There are several other good forces, probably between 100 million and 800 million, but they are all adults. The two little girls in front of me, who are obviously only about 15 or 16 years old, have actually reached such terrifying strength. It's simply incredible. Sun Tian has a very young face, and like Chi-Chi, they both look to be around 21 or 22 years old, although they are already in their early 40s now. The bad girl obviously thought that Sun Tian and the others were not very old, and she would not have thought that the one in front of them was far stronger than them. Don't call me a little girl. I am not a little girl anymore. Do you think this pet is called Tianshu? That's a good name. The bad girl shrugged her chest, and then was attracted to Tianshu. She stretched out her hand to grab him, but there was no way she could catch him with her strength. If Sun Tian had not ordered Tianshu not to act rashly, the entire Shadala planet would probably have been destroyed by Tianshu. What a fast speed. I still don't believe it. The bad girl became stubborn and was determined to catch Tianshu. She didn't even think about the fact that Tianshu was Sun Tian's pet. The shy little girl came up quickly and said, Sister, that big brother hasn't agreed to give it to you yet. The bad girl was obviously a very outgoing person. Don't worry, we will protect him from now on. He will definitely agree to a pet. Sun Tian was speechless, Chi-Chi was speechless, they had never seen a girl like this before, but they did not stop her. It was impossible for them to catch Tianshu. Seeing that Sun Tian did not refute, the bad girl happily went forward to catch Tianshu, leaving the shy girl next to her speechless. After Tianshu received the message from Sun Tian, he started to play hide-and-seek with the bad girl. No matter what tricks the bad girl used, she couldn't touch even a hair of Tianshu. Sun Tian and Chi-Chi were watching Tianshu playing with them. The shy girl came forward and said in a mosquito-like voice, Big brother, big sister, my sister is just like this. Don't bother with her. It was the first time that Chi-Chi heard someone call her big sister since she had 2 children. Okay, it's okay. Let Tianshu play with her for a while. What's your name? Are you a student of this school? I'm Kale, and that's my senior, Caulifla. She's not a bad person, she just has that kind of personality. Big sis, you're not a scion, are you? Yes, I am a human, but my husband is a scion like you. Kyer looked at Sun Tian, Hey, big brother, are you a scion too? Why is your tail still there? Didn't our scions' tails evolve away a long time ago? Kale knew that scions had tails. After all, this was part of their history. Although the scions on their planet didn't have tails now, it was written in books that a long time ago, they actually had tails. At this time, Caulifla seemed to be angry about not being able to catch Tianshu. Kale, what are you doing? Come here and help me block his retreat. Sun Tian said at this time, Little girl, don't waste your energy. With your strength, it's not even 1/10,000th of Tianshu's, how can you possibly catch it? Although Caulifla has a carefree personality, she is not stupid. She has just chased Tianshu for nearly 20 minutes and didn't even touch him. Naturally, she knows that she has underestimated these 2 people and 1 beast. Back to Sun Tian, big brother, is Tianshu very strong? Then are you even stronger? Can you teach us to become stronger? Sun Tian looked at the bad girl in front of him, big brother. Do you know that my son is already 20 years old? Caulifla looked at Sun Tian and Chi-Chi, who were at most 21 or 22 years old, with a look of disbelief on her face. No way, big brother, you are really joking. I think you are at most 20 years old, much younger than me. Sun Tian was speechless, but he really had no way to prove that he was already in his early 40s. He couldn't go back to the 7th universe and capture Chi Tian to prove that what he said was true. However, when Caulifla was talking to Sun Tian, she was attracted by Sun Tian's eyes. What kind of eyes were those? They seemed to contain the stars in the universe, full of charming light, which gave her a natural sense of conviction. As the heart of the universe continued to be refined, Sun Tian's strength continued to increase, and his external temperament naturally changed as well, giving people an inexplicable sense of closeness whenever they saw him. Caulifla looked at Kiki again. Although Kiki had restrained her aura, her temperament was unmatched by everyone. It was then that Caulifla realized that neither of the two people in front of her could be seen through by her. Although she is usually careless, it doesn't mean that Caulifla is stupid, otherwise she wouldn't have reached a combat power of 50 million at such a young age. Could it be that what he said was true? He looked really young. However, Caulifla, who was naturally carefree, immediately put the age issue behind her and said, "Whatever, I'll just call you big brother and big sister. By the way, can you teach us to become stronger?" Not knowing why this little girl was so obsessed with becoming stronger, Sun Tian smiled and said, "Why do you want to become stronger? You are already very strong now." Caulifla didn't even think about it and replied directly, "After I become stronger, I can protect my junior sister Kale, and I can also rob anyone I dislike in the universe, especially those bad guys." Sun Tian was amused. He didn't expect that the reason why this bad girl became stronger was to become a robber. "Are you sure you are not a frozen demon? And a space thief, but she is also very naive." What happened here had already been seen by a group of children from the school. Most of these Scion children had a combat power of only a few 100,000. It was no wonder that Caulifla couldn't play with them. After all, the difference was too big. Oh my god, that devil Caulifla actually wants someone else to teach her, did I hear that correctly? It seems so, but are those two really that powerful? I can't tell. Very strong. You weren't here just now. Didn't you see that Caulifla couldn't even catch other people's pets? Is this true? The little kid watching on the side whispered that Caulifla was a little devil in school and those kids were no match for her. Fortunately, she usually just played pranks and didn't really hurt these people, otherwise these kids wouldn't be watching here. Stop making so much noise. Do you want to fight me? You, and you. Caulifla put her hands on her hips and looked at the group of children around her, scaring them so much that they scattered. Oh my god, the little devil is going crazy, run. Run, big news, the little devil wants to become my apprentice. A group of people were afraid of being caught by Caulifla, so they scattered, leaving Sun Tian speechless. The shy Kaier stroked her eyes with one hand, looking like I don't know her. Seeing that Sun Tian didn't reply to her, Caulifla thought that Sun Tian didn't want to teach her, so she quickly held Sun Tian's wrist and said, "How about it? Think about it. I'm a genius, and you won't lose anything if you teach me." It was as if Sun Tian would suffer a great loss if he didn't teach her. Chi-Chi was watching from the sidelines, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Caulifla seemed to know the relationship between Sun Tian and Chi-Chi. She ran to Chi-Chi again and said, "Big sister, let big brother teach us to become stronger. At worst, I will marry your son when we grow up." Chi-Chi was speechless, thinking that Chi-Tian would not like this kind of person. However, seeing his innocent look, she still helped her and said, "Tian, why don't you teach them a lesson? After all, they are also your people, right?" I don't know whether he wanted to find a wife for his son or he was really pleading for these two little girls. Sun Tian originally had no intention of teaching them, but Chi-Chi spoke up, "Okay, but practicing with us will be very hard. Can you endure the hardship?" Caulifla immediately responded, "I can endure hardship, I definitely can. Also, we won't stay on Shadala planet for long. We'll leave in 2 days." Caulifla said, "We can join you. Don't worry, we are strong enough to graduate from school long ago." Sun Tian thought for a moment and said, "Then go tell your family, or you might not see them for a long time." Caulifla immediately replied, "Master, I'll go tell my brother right away." "Kaier, you stay with the master first, I'll be back soon." I have to say that he was really thick-skinned. He was not afraid that Sun Tian and the others were bad guys, so he just kept his schoolmate. Of course, he might also be afraid that Sun Tian and the others would change their minds and run away. Just like that, Sun Tian and Chi-Chi had two little followers following them, one chattering all day long, while the other was quiet. "Master, are we going to leave Shadala? But where is the spaceship? How about I go and steal one?" Sun Tian tapped Caulifla's forehead and said, "Robbery, rob, rob. All you do is rob. No need for a spaceship." Today I will show you what Tianqiu is really capable of. In a sparsely populated place, Tianqiu's body quickly grew larger. After a while, a behemoth nearly 10,000 meters tall appeared in front of Caulifla and the others. Sun Tian and Chi-Chi moved slightly and landed on Tianqiu's back. You two, are you still going to leave? Although Tianqiu did not release the wire, the strong visual impact still scared Caulifla and Kale. However, she was a carefree person and quickly reacted, bringing Kair to Tianqiu. Master, my god, is this Tianqiu? I feel like even if everyone on the Shadala planet joined together, they wouldn't be his match. Thinking about how she had actually wanted to capture Tianqiu before, even a person as thick-skinned as her broke out in a cold sweat. Then she thought of something. Master and Madam, we are not going to cross the universe directly, are we? What do you think? The next moment, even someone as tough as Caulifla couldn't help but scream. Tianqiu directly deployed an energy shield and turned into a ball of light. With its wings spread, it instantly broke away from the gravity of the Shadala star and appeared directly in the void of the universe. Oh my god! We actually entered the cosmic void directly like this? Look at the planets behind you that are getting smaller and smaller, and planets that keep appearing and disappearing around you. Kale, pinch me, I am not dreaming. Kaya was a little speechless about his senior, and pinched Caulifla's face hard. Ouch, it hurts. It's not a dream. On Tianqiu's back, Caulifla was dancing with excitement, constantly pointing at the stars that kept appearing and disappearing in the void. Amazing. Tianqiu is awesome and powerful. In just a few minutes, they had already left Shadara star by who knows how many galaxies. It took a long time for Caulifla to recover from her excitement. She was full of curiosity about her cheat master and finally realized how powerful her cheat master was. Master, when will you teach us how to practice? It seems like we are becoming like Tianqiu. Sun Tian was also feeling emotional. Once upon a time, he was just like the little girl in front of him, full of curiosity about the void of the universe. However, when he really reached his point, he found that it was just like this. You two have good foundations, but they are far from enough. Next, I will send you to a place, which is the hometown of Tianqiu. When you two have raised your combat power to the destruction level, you can come out again. Destruction level? What is that? Sun Tian was speechless. He was used to using this set of rules. He never thought that ordinary people didn't know it at all. Although the scions in the 6th universe generally have good combat power, they are not very clear about the combat power differentiation in the universe. Sun Tian was about to explain to them about the relevant realms in the universe, when suddenly Kair pointed ahead and said, Master, look, what's ahead? In the void of the universe, a very strong energy was pushing a figure towards Sun Tian and the others. The energy reaction was so powerful that it definitely reached the limit of destructive power. It seems to be a person. Tianqiu could feel a hint of threat from that energy. You know, Tianqiu had just broken through the peak of destruction recently and was already an extremely powerful existence. Hit fought with Xiangpa, and was finally blown back by Xiangpa's 80% destructive energy and his time and space crushing energy and was thrown into the void of the universe. At the critical moment, Hit used his remaining energy to create a protective shield. Although it ensured his immortality, he had no strength to escape the shock wave. Fortunately, he was not captured by other stars on the way, so this destructive mixed energy kept carrying Hit at high speed in the void of the universe. I'm afraid Xiangpa did not expect that Hit could survive in such a situation. Master, that energy is flying towards us. Do you want to intercept it? It was also the first time that Caulifla heard Tianqiu speak, but she knew that it was not the time to care about this issue. The reaction of that energy made the two of them feel so insignificant. It could be said that even if everyone on the planet Shadala attacked together, Kongpa would not be able to stop it. Intercept. Caulifla knew that her cheat master was very strong, but she heard Tianqiu say that he could intercept this energy. This was too terrifying. Sun Tian naturally also discovered this energy fluctuation. His spiritual sense found that the figure who was constantly approaching him due to the energy difference had purple skin and especially made long coat, but he seemed to be seriously injured, and the protective shield seemed to be likely to break at any time. Sun Tian displayed the image of this person in the void. Do you two know this person? Caulifla said she didn't know him, but Kale exclaimed, it's him, the legendary man who can't be messed with, the killer Hit. Caulifla asked, is he very strong? How come I didn't know that? Kaya replied, sister, you only know how to fight. This person is recorded in our school's information, and the teacher has also specifically reminded us in class that no matter who you are, don't mess with this person. Given Caulifla's personality, it's impossible to ask her to learn these things, but Kale is different. She basically knows some taboos in the universe. Sun Tian didn't connect this man with the killer Hit for a moment, but after hearing what Kyer said, he suddenly remembered, so it was him. If that's the case, then I'll save his life. Caulifla's eyes widened. Save? Looking at her cheap master in disbelief, is he really that strong? The next moment, Caulifla believed it. Sun Tian directly stretched out a hand towards the shock wave, and then Caulifla found that the energy that was enough to easily destroy a galaxy was slowly caught by something. The energy ball with a diameter of nearly several thousand meters, together with the Taoist Tao, slowly came towards them, and the energy ball was actually slowly getting smaller, and finally condensed into a light ball with a diameter of less than 5 centimeters. Hit had been pulled back by Sun Tian, but he had already fainted. The energy shield on his body had completely disappeared before he entered the protective shield of Tianxu. Caulifla looked at the energy ball in Sun Tian's hand and felt like she was facing a prehistoric beast. The soul-suffocating feeling of oppression made her realize that if this energy ball exploded, it could easily destroy an entire galaxy. Tianxu, find an uninhabited planet and take a rest first. Yes, master. Chi-Chi came up at this time. What's the matter? Sun Tian took out the energy ball in his hand and said, I feel the energy of the god of destruction in it. It seems that Hit has fought with the fat cat Xianpa before. God of destruction? Is he very strong? Sun Tian replied, in this universe, apart from the angel I captured before, he should be ranked in the top 5. Although he is not a true god, he has mastered some of the laws of destruction, which is not bad. Caulifla and Kale were confused. What did it mean to not be a true god? What did it mean to break the laws? It sounds very impressive, but at this time they feel that their master is the real impressive one. Not long after, Sun Tian and his team discovered an uninhabited planet. Although there were plants and some primitive animals on the planet, it was obvious that no civilization had evolved yet. In an open space, Sun Tian and his companions temporarily rested here. After several days of space flight, Caulifla and Kale had some understanding of their cheap master. His strength is absolutely incredible, and he is also relatively easy to get along with. Although he looks indifferent, he is still nice to them. Sun Tian took out a bunch of ingredients from the inner world, and Chi-Chi started to set up the pot to cook. Caulifla and the others were no longer surprised. I remember that they had just flown in the void of the universe for about half a day. After all, Caulifla and Kale had not yet reached the level of directly absorbing energy from the void to sustain their lives, but they couldn't say that they were hungry. Fortunately, Kiki later discovered the situation of the two little girls. At that time, in the void of the universe, Sun Tian was like a treasure bag, constantly taking out all kinds of props. Then they started cooking on Tianxu's back. Fortunately, Tianxu's body was big enough, otherwise, without the spaceship, Caulifla and Kale would probably have become the scions who starved to death in the 6th universe. Kiki's cooking skills were naturally impeccable. The two little girls quickly fell in love with her and their relationship with Kiki quickly heated up. You two, stop standing there and help your mistress. Oh, I see. Soon after, 100 servings of food entered the stomachs of several people, making the two little girls ask for more. At this moment, Hit, who had been unconscious, moved and slowly opened his eyes. Well, I am not dead, or have I entered hell? Caulifla's carefree personality, master, that guy is awake. Should we control him? On the way, she heard from Kyer that this man was a killer, and a very powerful killer. With her unique way of thinking, the first thing she thought of was to tie up Hit. Perhaps Hit had just woken up and had not had time to check the surrounding situation when he suddenly heard a voice and instinctively stepped back. Sun Tian laughed and scolded, Girl, you are always making trouble. Although Kyer was shy, he still said, Don't be nervous, Mr. Hit. My master saved you. Hit slowly regained consciousness at this time and looked at the people in front of him. You are scions, right? Hit naturally knew about the scions, and the aura of the two little girls in front of him was obviously the unique aura of the scions. As for Sun Tian and Chi-Chi, he couldn't feel it, but his killer intuition told him that these two were very strong. The woman was okay, although she was not bad, but she was not a threat to him. But the man who looked only 21 or 22, Hit found that he didn't have this feeling even when facing Fangpa, as if the other party could easily take his life if he wanted. If anyone could save him from the void of space, it must be that man Wu Ning. Although Hit was a killer, he also had a clear distinction between gratitude and resentment. Thank you very much for saving my life. Excuse me, are you a god? Sun Tian looked at Hit curiously, You actually know about God? Hit replied, I know, because my master once killed a god. Not a false god like the god of destruction, but a true god. Although Sun Tian has always known that there is a mysterious killer organization in the sixth universe, he never thought that this organization has actually killed real gods. It seems that this organization is not simple. Your master. Is your master also a true god? The angels in this universe actually allow true god-level masters to exist. Hit looked a little lonely as he recalled the past. My master is not a true god, but he did kill an angel who claimed to be a guardian. However, that angel was only in the early stage of true god, but it was nothing. After thinking for a while, he continued, that happened millions of years ago. At that time, my master successfully broke through the limit of destruction and was sensed by the angels from the divine world. At that time, the god of destruction came down to the world to hunt him down. However, it seems that the god of destruction had just become the god of destruction, and my master used our clan's talent to kill him directly. Sun Tian was curious, god of destruction. That's nothing, just a false god. Then why did he fight against the angels later? Hit continued, the death of the god of destruction made the guardian angel at the time very angry, so he went down to the mortal world himself. However, my master had a new breakthrough after fighting the god of destruction. He practiced the law of killing to the extreme and was only one step away from fully understanding it. In the end, after some planning, he killed the angel at the cost of his life. Sun Tian was puzzled. If it happened millions of years ago, how did you become his disciple? Are you also millions of years old? As if seeing Sun Tian's confusion, Hit continued, more than 1,200 years ago, I was being hunted by my enemies and mistakenly entered a dangerous place. It was at that time that I received the inheritance from my master, and thus learned that there was a divine realm above the universe, and that I knew about the existence of the Kaioshin, the god of destruction, and even the angels. In fact, the god-killing organization that has always existed in the sixth universe was established by Hit after he inherited the legacy more than 1,000 years ago. Its purpose is, on the one hand, to monitor the movements of the god world, and on the other hand, to establish rules for the human world. However, their organization claims to have killed gods, but this is false. Strictly speaking, it is true, after all, there were indeed acts of killing gods millions of years ago. However, Hit set a small goal for himself, hoping that one day he could truly kill God. Unfortunately, not long ago, he didn't even defeat the god of destruction and almost died. If he hadn't met Sun Tian by chance, he would probably have fallen into the void of the universe. As for why Hit was able to inherit, we have to talk about their race. Hit is not like other races. Their race is purely born of heaven and earth. Generally, only one will appear in tens of thousands of years, and it is absolutely impossible for two to appear at the same time. At least Hit has not seen anyone of the same race as him in the past 1,000 years. The man who killed gods millions of years ago was exactly the same as Hit, who called himself the God-Killing Clan. After listening to Hit's words, Sun Tian said, I see. I was wondering why when I found you, the shock wave still had the destructive energy of the fat cat left on it. As he spoke, Sun Tian took out the energy ball that he had compressed to the extreme. In addition to the destructive energy, there is another energy that is also very amazing. It should be the time energy unique to your clan, right? After Sun Tian took out the energy ball, Hit instinctively felt the threat to his life, and in this ball of light, he could feel that in addition to Xiangpa's destructive energy, his own space-time crushing energy was also included. If he was not sure before whether Sun was a true god or a god of destruction, at this moment he was extremely sure that the man in front of him was a true god, not a false god like Xiangpa. Just as you said, some time ago, the god of destruction of this universe, Xiangpa, destroyed hundreds of planets in succession. I waited for a long time before I encountered him. Although I have also broken through the limit of destruction, I am still far behind him. If it weren't for you saving me, I'm afraid I would have died in the void of the universe now. For some reason, Hit, who usually speaks very little, became more talkative when facing Sun Tian. It could be because Sun Tian saved his life, but of course it could be for other reasons. Caulifla was laughing secretly beside her, and no one knew what she was thinking. Sun Tian glared at her, turned around and said to Hit, "Don't call me senior, compared to you, I am very young now." Hit didn't believe it. You know, gods are almost all immortal, and how can someone who can become a god be young? Senior, you are joking. Ha 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 ha. Caulifla finally couldn't help laughing out loud. Hit was confused. What's so funny about this? Master, ha ha ha, how about it? How does it feel to be called senior by a 1,000-year-old monster? She wanted to say something else, but Sun Tian suddenly hit her forehead. A horn immediately grew on Caulifla's head. You are the only one who talks too much. Learn from Kair. You have no respect at all. Caulifla screamed in pain, but there was nothing she could do, so she had to stay away from Sun Tian and run to play in Tianchu. Sun Tian was glad to be free when he saw Caulifla walk away. Otherwise, she would have been chattering away. I'm sorry to have embarrassed you. This girl is just like that. She's not a bad person by nature. Hit didn't take Caulifla's words to heart. I haven't asked for your name yet, senior. If you have anything to ask me in the future, just tell me. No matter what it is, I will go through fire and water for you. Hit is such a person, he will repay a favor. Sun Tian could see that Hit was sincere. My name is Sun Tian, I'm from the 7th universe. I think you should know about the universe, right? The 7th universe? I only know that this world seems to have more than one universe, but I have never been to other universes. I didn't expect that you actually came from other universes. No wonder I have never heard of it before. Universes? There are 12 universes in existence now. Originally there were 18 universes, but the 13th to 18th universes were destroyed by the King of Angels in ancient times. Now there are only 12 universes in this world. However, there are 3 special existences outside of these 12 universes, namely the True God Realm, the True Demon Realm, and the Samsara Realm. The Samsara Realm was also destroyed in ancient times. I wonder how the Yama King is doing now. Then Sun Tian slowly told some secrets of the universe and some things from ancient times, which made Hit fascinated. Unknowingly, Caulifla was also listening beside him. What, Master, are you saying that our Scion race actually ruled 3 universes in ancient times? Yes, do you think we Scions are weak? It's only now that each generation is weaker than the previous one. Hit did not expect that the person in front of him was not only a god, but also a very terrifying existence even among gods. I mean, how come I can clearly sense the existence of the god realm, but I've never been able to enter it before? It turns out that the gods have placed a seal to prevent the development of powerful beings in the universe. Sun Tian said, what is a god? It's just a creature with more powerful strength. With your current ability, you can also be called a god in a sense, but you don't have the special energy of the divine realm, so your lifespan cannot be as long as that of a god. You have to know that the 12 universes are so big, but there are so few strong people. The main reason is that lifespan limits the birth of strong people. It is also because of this that the gods seal the divine world and do not allow other races from the lower world to enter it, so as not to threaten their rule. Moreover, in the realm of true gods, the realm of true demons, and the realm of samsara, generally, those strong men who have reached the emperor level of strength can live for at least tens of thousands of years. However, in the 12 universes, those strong men of the destruction level and only those special races can live for thousands of years. Over time, the Protoss will naturally become stronger and stronger, and although other races may occasionally produce 1 or 2 powerful beings, they will not last long. Moreover, if the Protoss thinks your threat is big enough, the Guardian Angel and the God of Destruction will personally take action to kill you. For example, Hit's master millions of years ago, and of course there must be other examples over billions of years. The God of Destruction does not just destroy planets, but also helps the gods eliminate possible threats in the universe. The Kaioshin seems to be creating more planets in the universe, but he doesn't think about the fact that the universe has its own laws of development and he doesn't know when they will be needed to create planets. It is more for the reputation of the gods, so that their rule can be better spread throughout the universe. This was probably the first time Hit had heard of these secrets, and Tianchu had never heard of them before. As for Caulifla and Kale, they found it even more incredible. Well, Hit, after hearing this, can you still stick to your principles? Of course, if there is a chance, I will definitely seek an explanation from the God clan. Ha ha ha, you are worthy of being Hit. If that's the case, work hard. But I suggest you practice your killing law well and don't think about killing gods for now. With your current ability, you can't even beat the weakest god of destruction. Killing gods has actually become Hit's obsession, but after a battle with the god of destruction Xianpa not long ago, Hit also knows his own strength level. He is a real god, and even a false god like the god of destruction cannot kill him. After hearing what Sun Tian said, he finally came to his senses. Hit was seriously injured and could only walk with difficulty. Sun Tian and the others would naturally not ignore him. Are you going with them now, or are you going back by yourself? Hit knew that with his current injuries, if he was alone, any random emperor-level strongman would be able to take his life. Naturally, he chose to stay with Sun Tian first, and he also had many questions he wanted to ask Sun Tian. After hearing what Sun Tian said about the ancient times, Caulifla kept clamoring for Sun Tian to send her to practice. Sun Tian had no choice but to set sail again. As Tianxu grew larger, Hit discovered that in addition to Sun Tian, there was another person with the limit of destruction in this group, who was not much inferior to him. Crossing the void of the universe again, Caulifla and the others have become immune to it and are not as shocked as they were at the beginning. Hit has naturally gotten used to it. After all, if he is not injured, he can directly escape into the subspace and fly freely in the universe. Batnalai is a life-bearing planet 100 times the size of the Earth. After Xiangpa fought with Hit, he did not think that Hit could escape from his destructive energy. However, the battle with Hit did bring him a lot of gains, and his understanding of the law of destruction was also deepened. Without Batoz's supervision, Xiangpa would now descend upon any planet with life and try all the delicacies on it. In just a few dozen days, Xiangpa's body had grown 2 sizes larger, and of course his strength had also increased a lot at the same time. In a palace on the planet Batnalai, a group of people were waiting carefully, fearing that the fat cat on the planet would tear down the planet in anger. The strongest person on this planet has a combat power of tens of millions, but he was turned into ashes by a yawn just because he angered this fat cat. It is also because of this that although the people on this planet have a high combat power, they dare not complain. Is it not ready yet? Didn't we say there would be even better food? Xiangpa's voice came from deep in the palace, and a group of strange-looking aliens were trembling with fear. My lord, it will be ready soon. The food you want is on the way. Xiangpa enjoyed this feeling very much. This was the happiest day since he became the god of destruction. He could eat delicious food whenever he wanted and destroy planets whenever he wanted. Suddenly, Xiangpa sensed a strong breath emerging from the void of the universe. Is this a giant star beast? It must be delicious, and it's so powerful. It would be nice to catch it and use it as a mount. Starry sky behemoths are extremely rare even in the entire universe, and starry sky behemoths with combat power reaching the destructive level are hard to come by once in a million years. Xiangpa didn't even wait for the delicacies on this planet, and flew directly into the void of the universe, ready to hunt this giant star beast whose strength had reached the destructive level. The strong men of Batnalai Star cheered when they saw that the fat cat finally left the sky, but the next moment, an energy ball fell directly. Oh no, he is going to destroy our planet. Unfortunately, even though they knew it, there was nothing they could do. After all, with Xiangpa's power, they could not stop it at all. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire planet began to shake. With the destruction of the core, the planet was rapidly disintegrating and turning into a beautiful firework. Xiangpa stood in the starry sky, looking at the destroyed Batnalai planet, and his heart was filled with joy. After pausing for a moment, Xiangpa flew at high speed in the direction of the space beast he sensed. What a space beast! Its strength has at least reached the late stage of destruction. It is just worthy of this god. Soon Xiangpa caught up, and then he discovered that there were other living creatures on the star beast. How could this be possible? This was the mount he had set his eyes on, and he would show it off in front of Beerus in the future. Sound cannot be transmitted directly in the void of the universe, but as the god of destruction, Xiangpa naturally has a way to stop the opponent. Caulifla and Kale were fighting on Tianxu and didn't notice Xiangpa behind Tianxu at all. Sun Tian had noticed it a long time ago, but he didn't take Xiangpa seriously, and Xiangpa was also unaware of Sun Tian's existence. The powerful aura he felt was not from Hit, but from Kiki. After all, Hit was currently recovering from his injuries, and his aura was not strong. Human, stop immediately and give this giant star beast to this god. Tianxu naturally felt Xiangpa behind him, but Tianxu didn't know that Xiangpa was the god of destruction, and with Sun Tian around, it was impossible for him to be afraid of Xiangpa. Hit also stood up at this time. Senior Sun Tian, it's the god of destruction Xiangpa. Sun Tian glanced at Hit, then looked into the void. You really don't take the road to heaven, but you insist on breaking into hell. At this time, Xiangpa actually passed through Tianxu's protective shield and landed directly on Tianxu's back. Ha ha ha. That's great. If you guys know what's best for you, get out of here. Maybe you can still save your lives. Otherwise, don't blame me for taking action myself. After entering the protective shield, Xiangpa's arrogant voice came, looking at Sun Tian and others. Sun Tian did not reveal his true identity when he went to destroy the God Realm, otherwise Xiangpa would not have done this now. Well, it's you are the Hit. I didn't expect you to survive, but it seems your luck is not very good. When Xiangpa saw the severely injured Hit, he recalled the battle a few days ago. He did not expect that someone could survive his destructive energy, but now the opponent seemed to have no power to resist. As for Sun Tian and the other three, although they were also very strong, Xiang Pa did not take them seriously. Xiang Pa was arrogant, but Caulifla was even more arrogant than him. Where did this fat cat come from? How dare you act wild in front of us? Xiang Pa hated being called a fat cat the most. He let out a suffocating aura. Wild girl, do you want to die? When Caulifla was stared at by Xiang Pa, she suddenly felt as if she was being stared at by some prehistoric giant beast. Her whole body began to tremble unconsciously. The next moment, Sun Tian pulled her behind him. Caulifla suddenly felt the suffocating breath disappear. But Xiang Pa seemed to have seen something incredible, and his pair of golden pupils stared at Sun Tian. Although he did not recognize Sun Tian, his intuition told him that this person was dangerous. Xiang Pa asked solemnly, "Who are you?" At this time, Xiang Pa no longer had any thoughts about the rude little girl Caulifla, even though they didn't care about the Tianxiu under their feet for the time being. Sun Tianxia laughed and said, "Why, a dignified god of destruction only knows how to bully little girls. Anyone who can call out his identity at once must be no ordinary person." Although Xiang Pa is arrogant and unreasonable, it does not mean that he is stupid, otherwise he would not be able to cultivate to the limit of destruction and thus be chosen as the god of destruction of the sixth universe. "Who are you? You look like a scion, right?" Xiang Pa knew about the scions, but he didn't expect to see the kind of scion with a long tail that he knew millions of years ago. You know, before he became the god of destruction, he had encountered scions and suffered losses. Remember that millions of years ago, he and Beerus were almost invincible in the sixth universe. However, during a planet destruction, they encountered a red-haired scion. At that time, the scions were not like the scions of the Sad-Era planet today, whose tails had completely degenerated. The planet they wanted to destroy was exactly the scions' planet at that time. Naturally, a battle was inevitable. You have to know that they had already reached the peak of their strength of destruction at that time, but facing the attack of that scion, they were completely at a disadvantage and were no match at all. Fortunately, there was only one person on the other side, and he had not broken through the limit of destruction, otherwise there would be no current gods of destruction like Pa and Beerus. This is also the reason why when the angels asked them to become the god of destruction, they agreed without hesitation. After becoming the god of destruction, Kampa went to look for the red-haired scion, but the lifespan of a scion was short. The scion had died long ago, and the planet was destroyed for unknown reasons. Over the past millions of years, Xiang Pa has discovered traces of scions again, but the later scions had already evolved to a low level, and their combat power was not very strong. The strongest had a combat power of only a few hundred million, so no one paid much attention to them. But he didn't expect that when he was planning to catch a giant star beast to use as a mount today, he would encounter a scion whom he couldn't understand. As Sun Tian's cultivation continued to improve, his perception also improved. The moment Xiang Pa revealed his identity, he realized that there might be something fishy going on between Xiang Pa and the scions. "From the looks of you, it seems like you've seen a scion like me." Sun Tian's words were full of affirmation, and at the same time, the breath of the true god locked onto Xiang Pa. Although Xiang Pa thought that Sun Tian would be very strong, he did not expect that he was actually a true god. If it was just the limit of destruction, he might be able to fight with him with the special nature of his destructive energy, but now, Xiang Pa suddenly found that after dozens of days of honeymoon period, his luck seemed to have run out. However, as the god of destruction, Kampa would not be afraid of the other party because he was a true god. "Yes, before I became the god of destruction, I saw a scion similar to you in the universe, but he had red hair." Sun Tian's true divine aura had been locked onto Xiang Pa. Xiang Pa didn't dare to move, but in his heart he was feeling unlucky. Sun Tian muttered to himself, "Red hair. It seems that the scions in this universe are not weak either. I just don't know why they can't even transform now." Sun Tian looked at Xiang Pa and said coldly, "Xiang Pa, do you want to live or die?" Xiang Pa knew that the highlight was coming and it seemed he had to face it. It's not that Xiang Pa didn't dare to resist, but facing the true god, he was powerless to resist. Xiang Pa was now regretting his decision. Why did he come to the lower world for no reason? Even if he went to the lower world, why did he chase the giant beast in the sky? Facing the powerful, Xiang Pa knelt down simply, "My lord, please let me go. As long as you let me go, I will do anything for you." In the face of life and dignity, what is dignity? Can it be eaten as a delicacy? Hit, Kalafu and Makair were speechless, especially Hit. Is this still the arrogant god of destruction? In an instant, Hit had lost interest in killing this god of destruction. In his past life, Sun Tian had a bad impression of Xiang Pa, but he never expected that Xiang Pa, the god of destruction, would be so shameless. If Xiang Pa knew what Sun Tian was thinking, he would definitely spit on him. Integrity. In the face of a true god, can integrity be converted into combat power? In the face of a true god, can integrity allow you to survive? But the next moment, Sun Tian's words made Xiangpa burst into laughter. I want to know why you still have the leisure to come to the lower world to play. Don't the guardian angels of this universe care about you? Sun Tianming knew the answer but still asked. Bados was still imprisoned in the inner world, so who would take care of Xiangpa? Xiangpa replied shamelessly, Angel. If we can't defeat her, who would care about her? I haven't had a full meal in millions of years, and I am only given a bird's egg every other week. Is this the life of a god? The key is that you force me to say that the tasteless bird's egg is delicious. Do you really think I didn't eat delicious food before I became the god of destruction? When it comes to Bardas, Kampa seems like a bullied young wife. Constantly complaining about her miserable life. Hit and Caulifla did not expect that Kampa, as a god of destruction, actually lived such a poor life. They silently cheered for Kampa in their hearts. Sun Tian was speechless after hearing this, and at the same time he mourned for Xiangpa. The life of this god was really miserable. However, Sun Tian didn't want to listen to his complaints, so he interrupted Xiangpa and said, I don't want to hear you say this. I just want to know why you came to the mortal world. Xiangpa had no choice but to tell the truth. To be honest, sir, a month ago, a true god from the demon clan suddenly came to destroy the god realm, and the angel Bardas who guards this universe has been captured. Of course Sun Tian knew, because he was the one who caught the angel, and continued to ask, could it be that the angels were caught and they didn't know? Xiangpa replied, no one would have thought of that, because I sealed the Kaishin of this universe. Sun Tian thought to himself, they are worthy of being new brothers, their tricks are exactly the same. I remember that Beerus seemed to have sealed God Kai into the sword of King Kai in order to have a good sleep, and this guy sealed God Kai in order to prevent the angels from controlling him and went to the lower world to mess around. 12 The guardian angels of the universe usually do not return to the royal palace unless there is something important, but instead stay in their respective universes to monitor the situation. Therefore, even after dozens of days since Bardas was captured by Sun Tian, the angels have not yet discovered the situation in the 6th universe. Among the 12 universes, except for the angels and the king of gods, the god of destruction is not qualified to go to the palace of the Omni-King, unless summoned by the king of gods or the high priest. This is why Kampa directly sealed the king of gods of this universe. However, if the high priest has not received any information from universe SXS King Kai, he will also go down to the mortal world to check. After all, compared to angels and gods of destruction, King Kai is still very easy to die. But generally speaking, the life of God Kai is bound to that of the god of destruction. If God Kai really dies, then the god of destruction will also perish. At this time, the guarding angels will return to the entire palace to resume their duties, and then select a new candidate for God Kai, and then select a suitable candidate to be the god of destruction from the lower realm, or directly choose a suitable person from other universes to parachute in. However, the god of destruction is only a false god, and has no way to resist the angels in the true god stage. Therefore, in addition to enjoying the false title of the god of destruction, they also obtain the destructive energy exclusive to the god of destruction, which makes them stronger. However, there are gains and losses. When they obtain destructive energy, they will inevitably focus a lot of energy on comprehending the laws of destruction, which in turn hinders them from comprehending the laws that they originally comprehended when they were at the limit of destruction. Under Sun Tian's questioning, Xiangpa told all the information. Whether it was Xiangpa or Beerus, most of the strong people who served as the god of destruction were actually not very friendly to the angels. Of course, there were a few who were not like that. If that's the case, then why did you want to become the god of destruction? Xiangpa replied, when we first entered the destruction limit, who would have thought that the so-called god of destruction was just a tool used by the angels to manage the 12 universes? In addition, the destructive energy was too strong, so we naturally thought it was an opportunity, not a disaster. Moreover, if we refused, we might be killed by the angels directly. Hit, who was standing by, heard this and didn't expect that the god of destroyer in front of him was not living a good life. Xiangpa looked at Sun Tian, but besides these reasons, I came to the lower world this time. There is another reason, that is to find the super DragonBallZ distributed in the 6th and 7th universes. I want to try to see if I can break the life connection between me and King Kai. Xiangpa also knew about the super DragonBallZ by chance, but before, Bardas was watching him closely and he had no chance at all. But now, Bardas was captured by the mysterious true god, and he thought his chance had come. However, Xiangpa himself had a violent personality. When he was in the lower world, he would destroy planets at will. This led to the appearance of the killer hit. Sun Tian didn't expect Xiangpa to have such a brain. It seems that the so-called search for Super Dragon Balls in the memory of the previous life was purely to fool the angels. But think about it, how could a dignified destroyer of food look for Dragon Balls just to fulfill such a boring wish? But even if you find all the Super Dragon Balls in the 6th universe, what can you do? Without the cultivation of a true god, can you cross the void space between universes? Xiangpa showed a cunning look. If the 7 Dragon Balls are distributed in other universes, I can't do anything, but the god of destruction of the 7th universe is Beerus, my brother. There is a natural connection between us, and then I can use this connection to sneak directly into the 7th universe. In the memories of the previous life, Kampa and Beerus were enemies. Every time they met, they would fight. It seemed that they were just acting for the angels. Sun Tian still remembered that at the Tournament of Power hosted by the Omni King, Xiangpa and the 6th universe were about to be destroyed until the last moment, and before that, the warriors of the 6th universe had been fighting desperately to build up the 7th universe. However, if he wants to sever the connection between Xiangpa and King God, even Sun Tian has no way to do it. I'm afraid he can only do it with the help of the power of the dragon. Sun Tian suddenly said seriously, Xiangpa, what will you do if I help you find all the Super Dragon Balls? Xiangpa didn't expect that Sun Tian would actually help him, but if the true god-level scion opposite him helped him, his wish could really come true. If you can help us break the life connection with the King of the Kings, I will fight for you. Xiangpa knelt down on one knee. You know, although they seemed to be high and mighty as the god of destruction over the years, they often lived in fear. On the one hand, they could not resist the powerful guardian angels at all, and on the other hand, their lives were actually tied to the god of destruction in the early stage. They had to be like a nanny at all times, fearing that the god of destruction would die one day. The life of the Kaioshin and the guardianship of the angels hang over his head like a sword of Damocles. Sun Tian could sense that the reason why Xiangpa was so violent, arrogant and willful was probably because of this. The helplessness and sadness of the weak. To be able to become a god of destruction, whether it was Xiangpa or Beerus, their talents were definitely top-notch in the 12 universes. If there had been no intervention from the angels, they might have already become true gods. If all the gods of destruction in the 12 universes could be pulled into their own camp, they would have an extra layer of protection against the angels in the future. However, even Sun Tian could not know the exact location of the 7 Super Dragon Balls. The only one was obtained by chance when he just left the 7th universe. It seems that he has to go back to the 7th universe and use high-tech radar when he sees it, or directly ask Zuno. Okay, I hope you can keep your word. Otherwise, I can help you escape your fate and control your life and death just as easily. The aura that Sun Tian had originally locked onto Xiangpa suddenly strengthened. Although Xiangpa knew that Sun Tian was at the true god level, he did not know what stage Sun Tian was at. But there was no mistake about the aura just now. It was definitely far superior to Bardos. You have to know that Bardos was a powerful true god in the late stage. If he was far superior to Bardos, then that meant he was at the peak of true god, or even the limit of true god. Although Xiangpa had overestimated Sun Tian's strength as much as possible, he suddenly realized that he still underestimated the man in front of him. Over millions of years, Xiangpa had come into contact with many powerful beings, but he had never discovered that apart from the angels, there were other races that broke through to become true gods, and some of them were at the pinnacle of true gods. Xiangpa suddenly had a feeling that his luck had turned. He had to hold on tightly to such a thick thigh. Moreover, once he got Sun Tian's protection, he wouldn't have to worry about the true god of the angel clan coming to cause trouble for him. It has been 2 years since I left the 7th universe without realizing it. I don't know how the demonic martial empire is developing now, but Sun Tian believes that with his son Chi Tian around, nothing will happen to the demonic martial empire unless the angel notices it. It was indeed as Sun Tian expected, but Sun Tian was not an omniscient and omnipotent god after all. The enemies that appeared at the beginning of the demonic empire were not scary, and even the awakened Majin Buu that appeared later was not Sun Tian's opponent. Unfortunately, the magic martial empire was later targeted by the angel Whis. If Chi Tian had not broken through to become a true god at the critical moment, and Bardock had not returned in time from the mirror time and space, the magic martial empire would probably no longer exist today. Even so, in today's 7th universe, the magic and martial empire of the Milky Way star field only existed in the past. Almost all the main forces of the original magic and martial empire have left, and now there is only one Bigao empire in the Milky Way star field, and its supreme ruler is the former Bigao star. Ever since the departure of the powerful men from the magic and martial empire, Bigo Star was afraid of being visited by angels, so it had to move the magic and martial empire behind the scenes, and continue to rule the entire Milky Way directly in the name of Bigo. It was also because of this that they were able to be saved when Whis came knocking on the door later. Bigo Star is an artificial intelligence life form, and every mechanical warrior is absolutely obedient to Bigo's management, and can transmit everything that happened in the Milky Way star field back in time. Fortunately, Bigo knows that although the original demonic martial empire seems to be inferior to Whis now, when he thinks of Sun Tian who left 2 years ago, Bigo still thinks Sun Tian is more terrifying. Although Bigo now rules the Milky Way, he has not done anything out of line and still takes good care of people from the former Mo Empire. It has been exactly half a year since the disappearance of the Mo Holy Star in the original Mo Galaxy. During this half year, the Mo Galaxy has been constantly changing. Most of the original 81 satellites were captured by 3 stars, causing them to disappear forever in the universe. Only a very small number of planets have reperfected their celestial orbits and re-established a balance with the 3 major stars, but they are no longer suitable for life to survive. A figure suddenly appeared in the space of the Mo Galaxy. Who else could it be but Sun Tian? After nearly a month, Sun Tian finally returned to the 7th universe from the 6th universe. Looking at the scene in front of him, Sun Tian couldn't believe it. What's going on? Why are there so few strong people in the Milky Way? And the magic Saint Star has also disappeared. What kind of powerful enemy did they encounter? It's a pity that Sun Tian didn't have a deep understanding of the law of time, otherwise he could have directly used the law of time to conduct a reflux check like the High Priest. Sun Tian was also worried about the people of the demonic martial empire. He didn't expect that only 2 years after he left, the entire demonic martial empire and even the Holy Star had disappeared. However, the most urgent task now was to find out what had happened in the past 2 years. Sun Tian swept his mind and found that he could no longer sense the existence of the small underworld. He thought that King Yama must have hidden it. Afterwards, Sun Tian began to investigate the current situation of the entire Milky Way star field, and his divine consciousness slowly spread to the entire Milky Way star field. There is actually a peak destructive energy in this direction. This feels like it should be the artificial intelligence life form by Gaoxing from back then. The next moment, Sun Tian's figure disappeared directly into the space of the former Mo Galaxy. In the central area of the Milky Way, the administrative planet where the former Galactic King was located, now the holy planet of the Bigo Empire, Bigo Star is receiving various data and intelligence feedback from mechanical warriors. Suddenly, Bigoxing felt an inexplicable breath coming. The strength of this breath was even several times more terrifying than the angel Whis who came to his door, of course. Even though he had reached the peak of destruction and had a combat power of more than 150 billion, he could not even think of resisting. By Gaoxing. By Gao, you live a very comfortable life. Suddenly a voice was heard, and Bigo was completely unable to sense the other party's location. All his technological capabilities had no reaction at all, as if they had completely failed. Bigoxing's current body is 3D printed using the most advanced artificial human technology combined with genetic modification technology. Bigoxing has at least 10 such bodies, and each of them has reached the peak of destructive combat power. However, Bigoxing usually only uses one of these bodies. The current Bigoxing is using one of the strongest bodies, codenamed 01. The energy in his body reaches 158 billion. It can be said that even in the previous magic and martial empire, it ranks among the top 3. But now, Bigoxing found that he didn't even have the ability to leave this body, and his entire body had lost control of the outside world. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Bigoxing's body and looked at him evilly, full of scrutiny. You are Lord Sun Tian. You are back. After seeing the appearance of the figure in front of him clearly, Bigoxing asked excitedly. Sun Tian has always been a mysterious existence in the demonic martial empire. Even after Bai Gaoxing surrendered, he had only seen him once. But it was that time that made Bai Gaoxing completely surrender. Sun Tian originally thought that Bai Gao had betrayed him, but seeing how excited he was, it didn't seem like he was pretending. What happened to the demonic martial galaxy? Sun Tian asked directly, but his aura was always locked on Bai Gao and never left. Bai Gaoxing knew that this adult must have returned to the Mo Galaxy, and he slowly narrated the major events that had happened after Sun Tian left. You mean you were discovered by the angels? And Qi Tian has broken through to the level of a true god? And another scion at the level of a true god has appeared? Bai Gao replied, yes, sir. But now they have all left. It is said that they have entered the true demon realm, and the demon martial Saint Star was also taken away by Lord Chi Tian. Sun Tian was worried at first, but now that he heard that everyone was fine, he withdrew the aura that was locking on by Gao. It was even harder than Gao Xing to lie in front of Sun Tian, but Sun Tian didn't expect that Chi Tian was actually a real god, and if he guessed correctly, the scion who appeared later should be Bardock, his blood relative in this body. That state seems to be the legendary Super Saiyan 5. However, now that the Dragon Balls on Namek are gone, it is a bit difficult to find the location of each Super Dragon Ball. By Gao, don't resist. Afterwards, Sun Tian and Bigo disappeared from their original locations, and when they appeared again, they were already in Sun Tian's inner world. The god of destruction Xianpa, the killer Hit, Caulifla and others are all in Sun Tian's inner world. After such a long period of recuperation, Hit's injuries have completely recovered and his strength has also improved to a higher level. In order to hurry on their journey, Sun Tian asked them all to return to their own inner world. When Xiangpa saw it at that time, he couldn't believe it. It was a private universe, and its spatial stability was even several times stronger than that of the god of destruction. At that moment, Xianpa was completely convinced. At this time, Hit was sparring with Xianpa, while Caulifla and Kale went to the area where Tianqiu realm was located with Tianqiu to practice and temper themselves. Sun Tian came in without alarming them, but appeared directly in front of Super Dragon Ball with Bigo. Dragon Ball radar, you should know, with our current technology, can we create a radar that can search the entire universe? Bigo is an artificial intelligence life form. In the field of technology, even Bulma and others may not be as strong as him. The Super Dragon Ball was quickly analyzed, but Bigo shook his head helplessly. Sir, this Dragon Ball is different from the Dragon Ball of Namek. There is a mysterious power on it, and there is no way to find it through scientific means. Sun Tian didn't expect Bigo to give such an answer. He remembered that in his previous life, Bulma and the others also made a Super Dragon Ball radar. At that time, they said that it couldn't cover the entire universe. It seems that even if it covered the entire universe at that time, it would still be useless. But think about it, the Super Dragon Ball was made by the incarnation of the dragon god Salama himself. If someone can find it by technological means, it would be too much of a joke. It looks like we have to seek help from the legendary Zuno. After returning to the outside world again, Sun Tian directly erased his existence from Bai Gao's memory, and then returned to the original Moog galaxy. Looking at the Moog galaxy that had changed so much, and the traces of the remaining dragon power, Sun Tian directly incorporated the entire Moog galaxy into his inner world, leaving only a void space. At the border of the Milky Way, there is a strange planet. From the perspective of the universe, this planet looks like a planet upside down in a gift box. The exposed part of the planet looks like a bunch of colorful flowers, bright and eye-catching. Based on his memories of his previous life, Sun Tian quickly found this planet. Is this the planet where the legendary wise man, the incredible man who is said to know everything, Zuno, lives? But this kind of planet is really rare in the universe. There are 2 satellites orbiting the planet Zuno, and in the distance there is a star that emits light and heat, and from time to time, alien spacecraft enter it. With the power of Sun Tianjin, it was easy to block Zuno's perception. With a thought, all the spacecraft on the planet were easily stopped, including the souls of these people who stopped thinking at this moment. Stepping into the void, as if there were stairs under his feet, Sun Tian slowly walked into Zuno's planet. In the palace of the planet, except for Zuno himself, all the other followers seemed to have lost consciousness and stood there. Although Zuno claimed to be omniscient, his whole body was shaking at this moment. He had no idea what kind of existence had descended on his planet, but he knew that it must be a remarkable person coming. A figure suddenly appeared in front of Zuno. Zuno couldn't see the person's appearance clearly. It seemed that the person didn't exist at all, but he appeared in front of him very clearly. After more than half a minute, a voice came from afar. You are Zuno, it is said that you know everything about the whole world. Zuno was shocked. What kind of existence was this? The person had already appeared in front of him, but the voice came from the distance after more than 30 seconds. Dear sir, how can I help you? Although one must offer a kiss to anyone asking a question to Zuno, it also depends on who is asking the question. Facing the supreme being like Sun Tian, how could Zuno dare to act rashly? Tell me everything about the Super Dragon Balls, including their exact location, how to summon them, etc. A voice sounded directly in Zuno's heart, and Zuno knew that it was direct telepathic communication. Zuno didn't dare to resist at all, and slowly told him everything related to the Super Dragon Ball. Zuno said, the Super Dragon Ball was created by the dragon god Salama in the 41st year of the divine calendar. It is a round solid object with a diameter of 37,196.2204 kilometers. There are 7 of them distributed in the 6th and 7th universes. There are 1 to 7 red stars in the 7 golden yellow beads. After collecting the 7 beads distributed in the 2 universes, use the divine language to summon them. The summoning spell is, "Come out, Dragon of God. Please fulfill my wish, Hairpin." Seeing that the figure in front of him did not interrupt, Zuno continued, "After the dragon appears, it can fulfill any wish for the summoner, and then it will be redistributed in the 6th and 7th universes, waiting for people who need to fulfill their wishes to come and collect them." The specific locations of the 7 Dragon Balls are in the Hyphae star field of the 6th universe, and the coordinates are 747956, 74749, 9033. Suddenly, after Zuno reported the locations of 6 Super Dragon Balls, he got stuck because he found that he couldn't find the location of the 7th Super Dragon Ball at all. Zuno looked at the figure in front of him cautiously. "Sir, I have no way of knowing the location of the 7th Dragon Ball." Sun Tian knew that the 7th Super Dragon Ball was in his inner world. If Zuno could find it, it would be strange. The language of God is not the language of the earth, but the language of the angels. Sun Tian is a little surprised. Soon Sun Tian got the information he wanted, including the language of God, which he had learned. Zuno was afraid that the existence in front of him would erase him, but when he looked again, he found that there was no figure in front of him, and the entire Zuno planet seemed to have never been here, and it returned to normal. And he himself gradually lost his memory of what happened just now. Thanks to the monthly tickets of Chun Guyulang and others, and thanks to everyone for the recommendation tickets. The daily stable output and full hatred value. After learning the whereabouts of the other 6 Super Dragon Balls, Sun Tian erased Zuno's memory and all traces of his previous appearances. As for the 7th universe, Whis doesn't take it seriously, for he is afraid that it will attract the High Priest and cause trouble. Sun Tian is not going to touch the Super Dragon Balls in the current universe. The most urgent task now is to get the Super Dragon Balls in the 6th universe. Sun Tian set off again and headed for the 6th universe. As for the 7th universe, he would find a way when the time comes. The area of the original Mo galaxy has undergone drastic changes since Sun Tian incorporated the entire galaxy into the inner world. A huge black hole slowly appeared at the location of the original Mo galaxy. At the same time, the mirror spacetime where Sun Wukong was located also underwent the same changes. There seemed to be an inexplicable force that caused the 2 mirrored time and space to begin to merge, but no one in the 2 mirrored time and space noticed it. The entire Milky Way was shrouded in the laws of heaven and earth. The 7th universe destroyed the divine world. The injuries that Whis suffered in the battle with Chi Tian and others had long since recovered, so he naturally discovered what happened in the Milky Way star field. Half a year ago, Weiss had deliberately sought out Bigo Star of the Bigo Empire, but was unable to obtain any useful information from him. He only knew that most of the people of the former Mo Empire had already entered the True Demon Realm. As for the True Demon Realm, even if he was in the late stage of True God, he did not dare to step into it easily, so he had to keep his sights fixed on the Milky Way star field. Weiss felt the changes in the Milky Way star field, but when he tried to break into it, he found that he was blocked by an invisible force. Even with his strength as a late True God, he could not enter. Soon the High Priest also arrived at the outskirts of the Galaxy Star region. However, even though he could enter if he tried his best, he had a feeling that if he forced his way in, even with his ultimate strength as a true god, he would be backfired by this invisible force. High Priest, what on earth happened to the Galaxy Star region? And this force? Weiss could feel the threat this power brought to him, which he had never felt before. The High Priest frowned, not knowing how to answer. Weiss, this power should last about a week, you keep an eye on it. It has been more than half a year since the Omni King disappeared and has not been found yet. The High Priest feels very tired, so much so that he has no time to waste on such trivial matters as the Milky Way. Yes, Lord High Priest. Inside the Milky Way, a new galaxy appeared where the demonic Martial Galaxy was originally. If Sun Tian was here, he would find that this was the former solar galaxy. All the creatures in the Milky Way seemed to be asleep. If someone was awake in the galaxy, they would find that in many places, 2 similar people were merging, 2 similar planets were merging, and 2 similar galaxies were merging. In short, incredible things were slowly happening. Even Bigoxing, an artificial intelligence life form that is said to never rest, seemed to be surprisingly asleep. Weiss waited for 7 days, and in the Milky Way, the 2 mirror time and space had already merged. The creatures in the Milky Way slowly woke up and found that they seemed to have become much stronger. Some other beings who were supposed to have died were resurrected again, and the people around them did not seem to find it strange, as if this person had never died. In the outside world, the invisible force shrouding the periphery of the Milky Way star field slowly disappeared. The Milky Way star field seemed to have perfectly merged with other star fields in the universe, and there was no sign of anything strange. Oh no, the god of destruction has awakened. Whis was about to enter the Milky Way to investigate, but suddenly he felt that the god of destruction Beerus seemed to have awakened. After destroying the god realm, Beerus woke up from his sleep. Whis. He looks like he hasn't woken up yet, and his eyes haven't fully opened yet. With a sneeze, a planet was directly destroyed in the sky above the god of destruction. It seemed that the explosion of the planet made Beerus lose his sleepiness. Where did Weiss go? But it's just right that no one is watching, so let's go to the netherworld to eat some delicious food first. However, at this moment, a pseudo-girl voice came, Lord Beerus, wake up. Beerus is different from Kompa. At least he is not as miserable as Kompa, who is controlled by Bados and can only rely on eating bird eggs. Weiss, have you gone to the netherworld to eat alone again? Wiss's exaggerated sissy voice came, Lord Beerus, you are wronging me. During the years you were sleeping, I was keeping a close eye on the entire universe for you. Beerus didn't buy it. Wiss, how long have I slept? Wiss replied, 39 years. But then again, isn't this the time you set yourself, Beerus-sama? Beerus thought about it and it seemed to be true. He set the clock bomb to 39 years. As if remembering something, Beerus asked, by the way, last time you asked me to arrange for Frisia to destroy the Scions, has Frisia completed it? Whis felt uncomfortable when Beerus mentioned the Scions, but he still replied to Beerus, Master Beerus, planet Vegeta has been destroyed by Frisia, but later Frisia was killed by the remaining Scions. Beerus was shocked. What? Those arrogant guys can kill Frisia? How is that possible? With their fighting power, even if Frisia is not that good, they can't kill Frisia even if their entire clan joins together, right? Quick, show me the video. When Weiss heard this, he said, Image, I also want to see the image, but it seems that he has seen it before, but he has not found it at all. However, Weiss couldn't say this to Beerus, otherwise his image would be ruined, so he chanted the spell, but found a magical scene. The image appeared, but it was different from what Weiss had imagined. Although the Scions were still the same Scions, the ones who killed Frisia were not the Scions he had seen. No, the Scion who killed Frisia in this video and the Super Saiyan 5 with whom he had his last battle half a year ago look so similar, but they are obviously not the same person. Even the true God may not be able to understand the power of time and space. Perhaps beings above the true God can understand it, but at least Weiss has not reached that level yet. In the image, the planet where the battle was taking place was obviously the planet where the Namekians lived hundreds of years ago. Although the size of the planet was many times smaller than it was hundreds of years ago, Weiss was extremely sure of it. According to the images, many Namekians seen in the Magic Empire some time ago have died, including the great elder Caesar who was seen in the Magic Empire more than half a year ago. The Scion in the image, who looks like Super Saiyan 5, fought a tough battle with Frisia and finally transformed into a Super Saiyan, successfully counterattacked and defeated Frisia. Beerus was not aware of all this and thought that it should be like this. Is this the Scion? Well, if I remember correctly, this should be a Super Saiyan, right? Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan. Beerus kept repeating the name, and suddenly a memory appeared in his mind, from before he became the god of destruction. I remember when I was traveling in the universe with Xianpa, I met a guy who called himself the Super Saiyan god. At that time, even when he and Xianpa joined forces, they were still at a disadvantage. But the hair color seems to be red, not the blonde color in the image. However, after becoming the god of destruction, they never saw the red-haired Scion again. This could be said to be a rare bad thing that happened to the two brothers before they became the god of destruction. Naturally, even Whis and the others didn't know about it, but Beerus always had a ridge in his heart, hoping that one day he would be able to fight him again. Weiss was still lost in thought, not knowing why such a change had occurred. Could it be? Weiss suddenly thought of a possibility. It should be possible. Mirror space-time fusion, this has been recorded in the books of their angels. Thinking of the mysterious power that suddenly appeared on the outskirts of the Milky Way not long ago, Weiss made a bold guess. You know, he knew before that the Super Saiyan 5 came from another mirror time and space, which means that there is a mirror time and space in the Milky Way. That's right. Apart from the fusion of mirror space and time, it is impossible for that kind of great power to appear. Even my father couldn't break through. Now that the fusion is complete, it's as if the history of one of the space and time has been erased. Only the history of one space and time exists. The more Weiss thought about it, the more likely it seemed. And because there was no true divine power in this period of history, his magic was able to extract some scenes from past history without hindrance. In other words, this was something that happened in another mirror time and space. Weiss chanted a spell and the scene changed again. On the original planet Vegeta, in Frisia's spaceship, King Vegeta was leading a group of elites, trying to kill Frisia, but everything was in vain. The scene moved again, and a scion was facing countless Frieza's troops and was constantly approaching Frieza's spaceship. However, Frieza fired a planet-destroying bomb at random and destroyed him along with Frieza's troops and planet Vegeta. Well, isn't this scion the Super Saiyan 5 named Bardock from a while ago? Unfortunately, the scene does not show Bardock being taken away by the space-time black hole, as if that part was skipped directly. Then the scene kept jumping. A scion kid came to the Earth and lived with an old man. He then transformed into a giant ape and trampled the old man to death. Finally, he grew up step by step, got married and had children. Later, several other scions in the universe attacked, and then he entered Namek and defeated Frisia. Oh, that planet. Whis chanted the spell again, and the magic martial star system he had visited before had completely changed. There was a star and 9 planets orbiting it, and the scions were now living on one of the blue planets, as if the magic martial star he had visited had never appeared. Weiss. Wes. A voice startled Whis out of himself. Ah, what's going on, Lord Beerus? What were you doing just now? Why didn't you reply to me when I called you? Whis replied, nothing, just watching some things about this Super Saiyan. By the way, what did Lord Beerus want to say just now? Beerus looked like he didn't believe you and said, Whis, do you think there is a Super Saiyan god among those scions? Whis thought, you woke up too late. The Super Saiyan god, others have already produced 2 Super Saiyan gods, but now they are no longer in the Milky Way. But she still replied, Lord Beerus, it's hard to say, maybe there is a Super Saiyan god among them. How about we go to the lower world to take a look? Beerus thought to himself, what's wrong with Whis today? Isn't he usually afraid that I'll go to the underworld? But Beerus still couldn't get over the ridge in his heart. Okay, let's go see what this guy who can kill Frisia is capable of. Humph, although Frisia is not that good, he is also very bad. I wanted to destroy him after waking up this time, but I didn't expect to be killed by this guy. On Earth, more than a year ago, in the battle against Majin Buu, Goku and others took great pains to destroy Majin Buu. At that time, Goku was in the mirror time and space, and Buu was not like the Buu in this time and space when he was born. Although he was also very strong, he was only at the level of Super Saiyan 3, with a combat power of about 60 billion. At that time, Vegeta and Goku were both at the peak of Super Saiyan 2, with a combat power of close to 50 billion. However, in later battles, Goku broke through to Super Saiyan 3, and finally joined forces with Vegeta to finally destroy Buu. However, in the mirror time and space where Son Goku was, Babidi did not exist. Instead, the people on Earth were asking for trouble. They discovered Buu's sealed egg and thought it was something extraordinary, and ended up awakening Buu from the seal. Perhaps it is because of this that Majin Buu's combat power was not very strong after he was born, otherwise it would be hard to say who would win or lose in the end. It was a beautiful day. In order to celebrate the first anniversary of Buu's destruction, Bulma and her family specially invited the Dragon Ball warriors to hold a party on the sea. However, they didn't know that a crisis was coming somewhere in the universe. In the 6th universe, Sun Tian came again after getting the information he wanted from Zuno. Based on the information provided by Zuno, Sun Tian quickly found 2 of the Super Dragon Balls and put them directly into his own inner world. As for the changes in the Milky Way star field of the 7th universe, Sun Tian was not aware of it. He did not think that his unintentional act of moving the Moe galaxy into the inner world would lead to the fusion of the 2 mirror spacetimes. Of course, even if he knew, he probably would not care. In the inner world, Xiangpa saw another Super Dragon Ball being collected, and felt that he was not far from escaping from the Sea of Suffering. At the same time, Xiangpa also knew that the super strong man who had descended to destroy the God Realm a few months ago was Sun Tian. In the inner world, Xiangpa met Bardock again, and the scene was so exciting. At that time, Xiangpa was still a little nervous. After all, the shadow of millions of years could not be erased in a short time. But later, Xiangpa discovered that Bardock's strength had been completely sealed by Sun Tian, and he could only exert the power of an emperor. Ha ha ha, Bardock, I didn't expect you would end up like this. How does it feel to be a prisoner and lose your freedom? Bardock never thought that one day he would be bullied by Xiangpa, a fat cat. But as a true god, although his power was sealed, he still had the bearing of a true god. Xiangpa, you should know how powerful the angels are. I advise you not to play with fire and get burned. Playing with fire will only lead to self-destruction. How scary. At worst, I will go directly to the real demon realm. I don't believe that the power of your angel tribe can extend there. Bardas still didn't know where he was, but he knew that he was definitely not in the 6th universe. Although the space here was not as good as the real God realm, it was many times more stable than the space in the destruction God realm. And the person who caught him, he thought it was a strong man from the demon world at first, but later he found out that it was actually a scion. Although he didn't know why the other party had such a strong strength, he also knew that it would be difficult for her to escape with her ability. Although she had not participated in the ancient war, she was still clear about the hatred between the angels and the scions. That person had not killed him yet, so he must be plotting something. In Sun Tian's inner world, Bardas was not restricted in his freedom, but his range of activities was not too large. He was fixed in one place by Sun Tian. Without Sun Tian's permission, Bardas could not leave. Outside, Sun Tian went to the location of the last Super Dragon Ball. Well, why is this direction the same as the ancestral star of the frozen demon? Could it be that the last Super Dragon Ball is there? Soon Sun Tian came to a dark area. According to the information provided by Zuno, the last Super Dragon Ball in the 6th universe was in the depths of this darkness. And this is exactly the location of the Ice Clan's ancestral planet after its last transfer. What Sun Tian did not expect was that the last Dragon Ball was actually a satellite of the Ice Clan's ancestral planet. No wonder in my past life's memory, there were no other members of the Ice Clan in the entire 6th universe except for Rost. I guess Xiangpa and the others destroyed them when they were collecting the Super Dragon Balls. Originally, Sun Tian didn't want to attack the Frozen Clan for the time being, but since he had encountered them, he decided to destroy them. I don't know how Caulifla and Kale are doing after nearly a month of training, so let's try it on the Ice Clan. As early as more than 10 days ago, these two little girls had already learned the transformation into Super Scions. Their basic combat power was high. After the transformation, Caulifla actually reached an amplitude of 60 times. Caulifla, whose normal combat power reached 60 million, directly reached 3.6 billion combat power, and Kale was even more exaggerated. Although her normal combat power was only 40 million, her super physique, the amplitude after the transformation actually reached 100 times, a full 4 billion combat power, which was several points stronger than Caulifla. In addition, with the beasts and humans from the Tianshu realm serving as sparring partners for them, both their combat skills and strength are constantly soaring. With just one thought, Caulifla, Kale, Hit, Xiangpa, Tianshu, Zhu Huang, Kozum and others moved out from the inner ground. Wow, Master, you finally remembered us. Owner. The first god. Master Sun Tian. Senior. A series of names popped up, making Sun Tian suddenly feel a little uncomfortable. The last Super Dragon Ball is just ahead, but before that, we have to kill all the frozen people inside. The Frozen Clan. Master, are they our enemies from ancient times? Don't worry, leave it to Kaya and me. We are very strong now. Sun Tian took a look at the two of them, not bad. In more than 10 years, their normal combat power had increased nearly 2 times. Caulifla's normal state had actually reached the peak of the early emperor, with a combat power of 180 million. Kale was even more exaggerated, actually a few points higher than Caulifla, entering the middle emperor stage, and reaching a combat power of 200 million. It was just unknown to what extent they had developed the Super Scions. Are you sure you'll give it to you? Aha. Are you sure? Don't worry, leave it to Kaya and me. We are much stronger now than when we first transformed. Alright. I've already told you that there are icy demons in there that can destroy everything. Since you've asked me to do that, no one else is allowed to help. Caulifla was stunned for a moment. Master, are you serious? Certainly. I mean, there really is a frozen demon with the ability to destroy the limit. It's genuine, but don't worry, the last time that person used a forbidden technique to fight against Bardas's clone, he should still be recovering from his injuries. I'm counting on you. Caulifla found that her cheap master was a bit bad. Although he was very strong now and his transformation into a Super Saiyan had reached a full 70 times amplitude, his combat power was only 12.6 billion, which was barely reaching the middle stage of destruction. Although Kale was stronger than him, he only had an amplitude of 120 times and a combat power of 24 billion, but the limit of destruction. Even if he was recovering from his injuries and had not recovered yet, they could not deal with him. Master, you are so mean. You can't bully people like this. I'm going to report you to Master's wife. Caulifla knew that her master seemed to be very receptive to the words of her mistress, and she also knew that her master would never really let her fight against those who were above the peak of destruction. You girl, ha 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 ha. Caulifla pulled Sun Tian's arm like a little kid. Okay, don't go crazy for a while or else if you meet a powerful person, no one will be able to take care of you. Although Sun Tian can guarantee their safety, this is also a test for them. As long as there is no danger to their lives, he will not easily take action, otherwise if he takes action, they will have nothing to do. Ever since the Ice Star was disturbed by Bardas's clone a few months ago, the tribe members have been forbidden to go out, fearing that the angels would discover their tracks and bring disaster upon the tribe. After that battle, Adros was practicing forbidden techniques and was now recuperating. The other tribesmen were practicing on their own. As for Frost, because of him, he brought disaster to the Frozen clan and was directly imprisoned in the Frozen prison by Adros. In a palace, Adros, who was recuperating, suddenly woke up. What's going on? I just feel depressed. It was incredible that the Frozen demon, who had reached the limit of destruction, would feel depressed. Adros suddenly thought, wasn't it the same thing the last time he was discovered by the angel clone? Could it be discovered so soon? Although Bardas's clone was forced to self-destruct last time, so much time has passed, and it is possible that the angels might discover it. Boom! With a loud bang, a huge hole was directly opened in the originally closed barrier of the Frozen Star. Xiang Pahit and his group of people came directly, but Sun Tian did not show up, or he regarded this place as a training ground for his men. Several members of the Frozen clan on duty flew off into outer space. Who is it? Xianpa's arrogant voice sounded, Ice Clan, I didn't expect you to have so many people. Adros naturally also felt the aura of this group of people. Unlike Bado's last time, he could clearly feel the people who came this time. Except for Xianpa, the others were also very powerful, but not invincible. And even with Xianpa, he was not without the ability to fight. But the people who had opened their outer barrier before were obviously not among this group of people. Just relying on Panna's extreme destructive combat power was not enough to break the barrier of the Frozen Star. Adros quickly transformed into the sixth ultimate form and looked around carefully, which true god has come? Please show yourself. Xianpa was unhappy. After all, he was the god of destruction of this universe, but he was ignored. Boy, can you see the real god whenever you want? Adros looked at the fat cat in front of him. Although Xianpa was powerful, he was not afraid. What made him afraid was the true god behind these people. Who do you think you are? Xianpa was furious. You are dead. I didn't intend to do it myself, but no one can stop me today. Xiangpa knew that with his own combat power, he was probably at most not much different from the Frozen demon in front of him, but if his destructive energy was taken into account, he was sure to defeat the opponent. A destructive energy emanated from Xianpa. Hit, I'll leave the others to you. Kill them all. I'll deal with this ice demon with the limit of destruction. At this time, Adros reacted, you are the god of destruction, so it seems that you are indeed an angel. Looking at Hit on the side, he is another extremely powerful man who has reached the limit of destruction, and the others are not weak either. Suddenly Adros spotted Caulifla and Kale, you two should be scions, but you're working for the angels. It seems like you've really fallen. Xianpa laughed, Xianpa, the current god of destruction, are you ready? Adros knew that this battle was going to be dangerous, but he didn't expect that they would be found just a few months later, without giving them any chance to breathe. Adros, the ancient Frozen demon, looks like we have to kill the gods again today. Arrogant. Hit and Tianxiu did not take action, and the Tianxiu humans and beasts from the Tianxiu world, led by Kozum and Zhuhuang, directly landed on the Frozen planet. Caulifla and Kale also directly activated their Super Saiyan transformation and followed closely behind. Apart from Adros, the strongest members of the Frozen clan are only 3 at the peak of destruction, and one of them is still seriously injured. However, there are 6 people at the peak of destruction in the Tianxiu human clan and the Su beast clan. Hit and Tianxiu blocked the void to prevent the Frozen clan from escaping. A massacre took place on the Frozen planet, and Adros also started a confrontation with Xianpa. 2 people were in space, their figures were intertwined, and they were constantly attacking. One of them was a 6 transformation ice demon, and he was an ice demon that survived from ancient times, while the other was the current god of destruction, possessing the most powerful destructive energy. Adros kept flashing, and Xianpa also began to become serious. At the beginning of the fight, Xianpa found that he was completely suppressed. Do you think you are the only ones with destructive energy? Ha ha ha. Adros looked at the confused Xianpa and said, in ancient times, we, the Ice Clan, were in charge of destruction. Your destructive energy is just what the Angel Clan got from us, the Ice Clan. Unexpectedly, Adros actually revealed a shocking piece of news. Xiangpa was shocked, no wonder the other party was so calm from the beginning even though he knew he had destructive energy. The 7 ancient tribes all evolved from the innate origin of the world. Among them, the ancient demon god controls the origin of darkness, the ancient god of death controls the origin of death, the ancient golden giant ape controls the origin of power, the ancient angels control the origin of order, the ancient Kaioshin controls the origin of time and space, the ancient Namekians control the origin of life, and their ancient ice demons control the origin of destruction. In an ancient battle, the ancient frozen demon was killed, and most of its destructive energy dissipated. After the ancient angel king broke through to the true god, he collected the remaining destructive energy, but because it was different from the origin of the angels, it could not be integrated, so it was handed over to the current incarnation of the Omni King for management. Finally, in order to facilitate the supervision of the 12 universes, the high priests divided this destructive energy into 12 and gave them to the strongest people with the limit of destruction in the 12 universes, making them the gods of destruction. Whenever the Frozen Clan reaches the limit of destruction, they will begin to comprehend the original law of destruction. This is why Adros is not afraid of the destructive energy of the god of destruction Elephant Pa. Even some outstanding members of the clan can simply use destructive energy at the Emperor level. For example, Kvira from the 7th universe once created the destructive ray. Although it is far from the real destructive energy, it is also extremely powerful. The strength of the two sides was originally not much different. In terms of the comprehension of the fundamental law of destruction, there were probably only a few gods of destruction in the 12 universes today who could compare with him, but these people definitely did not include Xiangpa. Moreover, most of these gods of destruction did not originally practice the law of destruction, but were granted destructive energy by the angels after reaching the limit of destruction. They were considered to be latecomers, and therefore their understanding of the law of destruction is far from being as compatible with that of the Ice Clan. Adros was very confident. Although he was just an inconspicuous member of the Ice Clan in ancient times, but now, with his understanding of the law of destruction, he was definitely not comparable to these halfway gods of destruction.